Right.
Spin it again.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena.
You know what, I've heard people call, and I kind of like the era that we're in, the post-truth kind of era.
And lately there's been a lot of coverage in the real news about the growing and booming business of creating fake news.
Check. Hey, am I on now? Roz, can you hear me? Yeah? All right. Maybe this is what's going on. Did anybody hear anything I just said? No? I'm messing myself up. Is that right? Somebody's calling on the Crown Plaza call number right now. Let's see. Right. 865 talk 865-888-8255 is the number there. If you want an opinion on anything, voice can be heard at this particular moment on Real News. It's Friday edition of Real News. I myself on the headphones anyways. And what I'm presuming, maybe it's incorrect, maybe I should just assume, but we all know what happens when people assume. I'm presuming that people can hear my voice as well. It sounds pretty wonderful right now. Friday, I was saying, the first couple seconds they were pretty dull, I think, for people because there was just blank air. That's all. There's a lot of stuff today. Give that number a call. Whatever you want to talk about. If you want to recap the Recode stuff, we can do that as well. I was sent something by, I want to say Recode Mike yesterday, sort of just a major recap as to what's happened so far, what's going on in the future. It's only about 1 page long, so we can get into a lot of that stuff if you want to. What to start with today, and I'm going to get to this in just a second, is the Julian Assange stuff. Julian Assange stuff being that he was arrested yesterday. The Ecuadorian embassy sort of removed his asylum status, if that's even a thing. Is that what it's called? He was being protected by the Ecuadorian government. Now, what their claim is, about 2 back, something was posted on, let's see, yep, I don't hear that. And then, right, hang on. I'm getting so many messages here. Right. Yep, that's right. Yep. Filling air, right? Check. I'm pretty sure this is good. I can hear myself. Can you hear me? We'll see. Check. Anyways. We'll be back in just a second.
Windows. Go see my friends at Window World of Knoxville, America's largest replacement window and home remodeling company. Local owners Mark and Claudia will take great care of you. They offer double hung white vinyl windows. These windows receive the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they come with a lifetime warranty. Plus, they're energy saving and they're made right here in America. Folks, I trust Window World. In fact, Knoxville News Sentinel readers voted them the best window company in Knoxville. So call Window World of Knoxville today for a free estimate. 865-938-0314. Located on Old Callahan Road or at windowworld.com. Window World supports the Veterans Airlift Command. Simply the best for less. Windowworld.com.
What do Elvis Presley, Elizabeth Taylor, Patrick Swayze, Joan Rivers, and Prince all have in common? The answer may surprise you. It's Fountain City Jewelers. Jewelry from the estates of over 20 Hollywood celebrities are coming to Fountain City Jewelers Saturday, April 13th.
Everyone knows how passionate I am about finding that one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And at our Hollywood estate sale, I'll share with you firsthand these amazing, distinctive pieces. With such history, each piece in Hollywood estate tells a story. From Zsa Zsa Gabor and Dean Martin to Prince and even the king himself, Elvis Presley. Victorian, Art Deco, retro, cocktail, designer, and signed pieces from glamorous eras gone by. Only at Fountain City Jewelers, Saturday, April 13th. Come see us and take home a glamorous piece of Hollywood.
The Hollywood Estate Sale, April 13th, exclusively at Fountain City Jewelers on North Broadway, right off I-640 next to Home Federal. Like them on Facebook and Instagram for more details.
Mr. Electric of Knoxville is now hiring experienced electricians. Call 865-272-2749. Go online now to MrElectric.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
I'm getting a report of a wreck with injury on Middlebury Pike, close to Balkan Pike, and that occurred just a few minutes ago, a little bit after 7 o'clock. Now, the interstate volume is up an extra few minutes. Cumberland Avenue and Nealon Drive, they're beginning to move some more of the equipment on sections of Concord Road north of North Shore Drive. R&M Climate Control, my company, is now the #1 heating air company in East Tennessee. More trucks, more technicians. I've been with them 30 years. rmclimatecontrol.com.
Randy, we got a problem.
What? They go.
Reality's here. He's trying to crash the party. Reality? Who let him in?
You're sad that people are mean? Well, I'm sorry. The world isn't one big liberal arts college campus.
I don't have an agenda. Like, I want people to do something. I need them to do something. I want them to avoid irrationality.
I guess what interests me is just like what interests everybody else. It's just sort of what feels real.
It's Friday. You know what this Friday is? It's Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday is what this is. That's what's going on. Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation. That's what it is. That's right. Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. We need to figure out an acronym for that. What's that acronym? B-A... Best audience in the nation, Appreciation Friday. What does that mean? That means on the Crown Plaza call number 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255. You call that.
It's BANAF.
Okay. Is that right?
That's what it is. It's BANAF.
Best audience.
It's BANAF.
The nation. Appreciation Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's BANAF. Welcome to BANAF, everybody.
Yes.
Now, what is BANAF, you may ask? That's the Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. What I literally just made this up on the spot. Did I not, Roz? I've never said this to her before.
No.
That's how good I am. That's right.
Yeah.
I just made this. Now, what is BANAF? BANAF means you call that.
Fire today, buddy.
That's right. You call that number. You call that number I just said, which is 865-888-TALK, 865-888-8255, and literally anything you want to talk about within slight reason. I'll say this. Literally anything you want to talk about except something's going to be violative of the FCC. John says, okay, there's a few words you can't say, and I don't think there's many topics that we're not allowed to bring up. I don't think there's really any topics we're not allowed to bring up. So this is what it is. BANAF, Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. You call that number, and literally whatever you want to talk about, I'll bring up today if you want to. If you don't have something to bring up, man, I have topics to get to, of course. National, local, otherwise. But look, if y'all want to call in, do a quick Recode recap, that's fine. I got something sent to me from Recode Michael yesterday that's basically a recap of what we've had so far, where we're going, things like that. Roz says, no, please, no more Recode. It is what it is, Roz. It's just us and two other people that are talking about it. We have a responsibility here with great power.
You don't think that we've totally kept up to that?
Roz, listen to this in my movie voice, okay?
6 months of Recode?
In a dystopic future.
No.
Where nobody's talking about Recode Knoxville. Real News Radio has responsibility to the community. With great power comes great Recode responsibility. That sounds pretty good, right? I watched that movie. I don't know what that'd be. It'd just be a bunch of city council meetings talking about Ickley. Anyways. Well, if you want to talk about Recode stuff, if you want to, I brought this up yesterday. I thought to myself, maybe I should devote an entire hour. I can't preach this stuff and not try and help the audience out with this. Yesterday I was talking about how, at least to the Facebook, I was saying this. I get mixed sometimes as to what I say to Facebook and what I do on air. I was saying to Facebook yesterday, I think one thing that our education system is severely lacking in is training in any form of logical reasoning. And, maybe I should devote an entire hour today or next week or something to, and I've had a whole history of training that, not just through law school. I think law school is just one massive 3-year training in logical reasoning. That's fine. But it was also my undergrad as well, too, with something called Worldviews and Applied Apologetics, which just looks fancy on a resume for nothing more than Christian philosophy. But suffice it to say, I at least know what a syllogism is. So if you want to walk through that, we can. We can talk about some non sequiturs. We can talk about some law of non-contradictions. We can talk about what these logical fallacies are. It'll help you with your argumentation with your Democrat buddies, that's for sure. We could talk about this concept that's been in my mind for a little bit as well. I started to feel, I don't want to say sorry for, but at least empathetic towards the plight that a conservative student faces in this nation right now, especially at a public university. I mean, constantly just being droned out, man. I'm watching these protests all the time and them trying to shout down Ben Shapiro and the like and stuff. And if you're all in agreement, and what brought this to my attention again is, all these people wearing these red MAGA hats and just getting shouted off and getting slapped around. And there was one yesterday where somebody was wearing a MAGA hat at an airport, and this lady walked up to him, not knowing at the time who he was or that he had massive amount of Twitter followers or that he was a YouTube superstar or any of this stuff. Walked up to him and said, hey, you need to take that MAGA hat off. Something to the effect of it's a New Age Ku Klux Klan hat, it's the white hat, all this stuff, it's the whatever else. And his response, believe this, his response was to direct people. Apparently this individual, so he found out later on, I'm not sure how he found this out, but this individual who was sort of verbally accosting him has a GoFundMe for her mother right now because she's suffering from some severe medical issue going on right now. So his response was to respond in love and direct his tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and potentially millions of viewers and listeners and everything else to this girl's GoFundMe page to help her mother. Man, what a beautiful response, is it not? Beautiful in so many ways. Beautiful just on the face of it because, he's actually trying to do something kind out of a situation that drew even more attention to himself. And also just sort of throwing that entire thing back at you're a racist, you're a xenophobe, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, all this stuff, throwing that right back in not just her face, but the entire left's face of, you think so? You think I'm the least kind person in the world? Look what I'm about to do for you. I'm about to give you 500,000 more people that are going to donate to your cause. What do you think of that? Now, I'm not saying he's donating in a spiteful manner, But all this got me thinking, as we have to hit this break right now, I'm already late, but all this got me thinking of something that's going on with the conservative plight. I'll explain that after this break, because you want to hear my opinion on this, and I think I'm going to be correct. And then I'll let you know what we're going to get into after this break. Be right back.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Well, Facebook was at least entertaining, right? Oh, Kyle, you get me in trouble, buddy. Not really. Talk about how welfare is actually a form of suppression, man. What does Thomas Sowell call that? The bigotry of low expectation. Is that right? Ray, let's not talk about that. I'm not trying to get people in trouble here, man. What does Thomas Sowell call that? The bigotry of low expectation. Alright. That's right, Kyle, man. I'm telling you. There's a difference between a handout and a hand up, right? I think every single person in this country at some point in their life has relied upon a hand up. No problem with that. I do it every single day. Shoot, man, I do it with y'all literally on an hourly basis to help prep for this show. This is y'all's show, after all. But a handout, man. I think what Kyle's saying, obviously, is that continual and constant reliance upon a handout from somebody else, your entire existence becomes predicated on that person giving you a handout. You know what I mean? If potentially that handout goes away, what do you do? What do you do? But at the same time, man, I don't know what you do now with the Alexander Cortezes and stuff. And hey, you also want to talk about 9/11 just being. Have you guys heard this recently? 9/11 apparently is just some people did something. Oh my gosh! Have you seen? Y'all heard about Reverend Congresswoman Omar just getting blasted for that comment? I don't know what she thought was gonna happen, man. It was just ill-advised statement, if you will. Golly. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Congresswoman Omar was in front of some, yeah, Kyle, exactly. You teach a man to fish. And see, that's the problem, though, man, is it's like, see, maybe I'll bring this back up just to have a quick conversation about it, because this next segment is short. Kyle, here's the problem, though, with the whole teach a man to fish analogy. You're correct, but the problem with what's going on in America right now is that whole Christocentric principle of teach a man to fish is based upon the premise that you actually have the option to either choose how to be taught to fish or to take that fish for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could choose one or the other. Like you could reasonably choose, I want to put in a maximum amount of effort currently so that my future endeavors will be that much better. I don't think a lot of Americans have that choice right now. No, it's not the best way to say it. Not that they don't have that choice, just a lot of them refuse to even recognize it. Or they grow up in a situation circumstantially or by way of the people around them or whatever else. Man, the phones are blowing up today. All three lines lit up at the same time. Anyways, you hear what I'm saying, right? If you grow up in a situation where you are presumed to be a Democrat from birth, and then I suppose by way of your parents or contextually or where you live or in proximity to a large city or I don't know, it kind of feels like you're not even given the opportunity to choose to learn how to fish. You're just sort of, am I wrong? You hear what I'm saying? I feel like someone in the Democrat Party right now that would go out and say like, I don't know, hold on, man, I'm not really all about like this constant welfare state. I'm not really all about that. What I am about is equality of opportunity. If you start saying that, man, and then all of a sudden they push you and say, well, you're also for equality of outcome, right? Well, no, not necessarily. Get out of my party. Get out of here. You don't like socialist America? You get out. What do y'all think about that Julian Assange stuff? Weird, right? Heather, you don't like fish? Come on. This is good. Yeah, actually, Heather, it's interesting you say that. Going back to our guest from yesterday, Arnold Cohen, man, he kept pushing this. Kelly. That's awesome. Kelly says you can't eat the fish anyways because it's contaminated. Yeah, if you take a handout from the government, Heather says you're owned by the government. I mean, think about too what even just more of an more pointed example other than just the larger example Kelly's saying. What about Arnold Cohen talking yesterday? How do you even reserve your rights on a daily basis? No one even thinks to do that. And one of these things that he said when you get with a debt consolidator, one of the main things that you do is through the consolidation process is you guarantee yourself to pay properly for the next 5 years, right? I mean, interesting stuff.
Roz, that is not a tiptoe through the window at all. Can we be honest about that? It started out as a tiptoe, like a creepy tiptoe through the window. Yeah.
What is it, like a stomp through the tulips?
I don't know. Yes, that's what is that what I said before? That's what it becomes, right?
I love that song.
Well,
Do you not like that song?
No, it's a great song, but it starts out as some senile old creepy woman in a horror film, outside your window.
Yeah.
Don't please
don't do that.
Don't tiptoe through this window, lady. I'm
Right.
sorry, you're freaking me out. I'm gonna have to call the cops on you. And then that tiptoe through the window says, "Fine, you won't let me through." Boom! I'm gonna break down this window. Hey, 2 minutes left here before I get to. I don't even know who's on line one. It just says Recode Knoxville. We got 3 callers on right now. I guess people are taking me up on my best audience in the nation appreciation Friday. Oh, it's Rico and Michael. Yeah, we'll get to him after this break. I want to give him enough time to recap stuff for us. I was talking to Facebook off air, and I just left y'all with what I was talking about. Before I get into some of these national stories, we got 3 hours to cover. Bear with me for a minute. I was saying, as I'm seeing these people just man, I don't know. It's strange. The Democrats have become entirely convinced now because I don't think there's any reasoning behind it. They've just been told to think this. They've become entirely convinced now that the red hat is the same thing as the Ku Klux Klan hat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's exactly what they've been told. I'm not paraphrasing here. I'm not speaking in hyperbole. This isn't Mr. Henry being bombastic to prove a point. That's exactly what they've been told. And I said it before. I started to feel sorry, or at least empathetic to the cause of my buddy like Nick Crawford, who's a University of Tennessee student, or any conservative, especially on a public campus right now. I didn't exactly have that experience in my my educational upbringing, undergrad or law or anything else like that. Most of my professors had a tendency to agree with my, not always, but they had a tendency to agree with my general worldview. I mean, I've told y'all before, I had a con law professor who thinks you should be able to buy a tank. You know what I'm saying? Most people a lot of these listeners would agree with, yeah, the Second Amendment extends to a tank, man, if you got the money. So I started to feel sympathetic to these people's cause, and then I started to think to myself, I don't know. I don't think I should. I really don't think I should. And a lot of what brought this story up for me is this thing I'm going to get to at some point in this hour. Apparently, Mother Teresa now, so says the CEO, or so says these high-level executives that are working for Twitter. There's a whole thing that played out yesterday in front of a Senate hearing. Ted Cruz put up this tweet that was a quote from Mother Teresa. The quote from Mother Teresa is basically saying that abortion is, where is this? I have this here pulled up here, and hang on, here it is. Here's the tweet. Abortion is profoundly anti-women. 3/4 of its victims are women, half of the babies, and all of the mothers. Abortion is profoundly anti-women. 3/4 of its victims are women, half the babies are all the mothers. That was a direct quote from Mother Teresa. And apparently, allegedly, because this Twitter account was shut down for quite some time due to that tweet, that's now considered hate speech as far as Twitter's concerned. Mother Teresa is now considered hate speech. And I'm thinking to myself, this also plays into the whole idea of wearing a MAGA hat around this country now and it being slapped off the top of your head and a 14-year-old kid having a Coke poured on him in McDonald's and Candace Owens having ice thrown at her at a restaurant and drinks thrown at her at a restaurant. I mean, this whole thing has become so vitriolic, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, you could really become a little bit depressed, right? You become seriously disheartened about what it means to be conservative right now. And I live in Tennessee. Goodness gracious, man. I don't have any problem to be concerned in Tennessee. But then I took a pause. And I thought to myself, all right, man, let's be serious here. When is the last time that one of your Democrat friends had to seriously defend their stance on anything? This is not a rhetorical question. I'm genuinely asking. When is the last time one of your buddies that considers himself progressive, or one of your friends that wants to say, I don't know, I'm starting to lean towards democratic socialism? When is the last time when one of those people was seriously pushed to question that stance? I would venture to say never. Now, don't get me wrong. The right has our own version of echo chambers we need to deal with. And I don't know if the Real News audience is going to like me saying this, but some on the right, we need to start having serious conversations about climate change. You're really not going to like what I'm about to say. Some on the right, we need to start having serious conversations about what the left is claiming, this alleged rise in white supremacy and white nationalism and these terrorist organizations and whatever else, and the acts of atrocity and the mass shootings that have been done in the name of white supremacy. We need to have a conversation about it. Doesn't mean it's right, but we need to be willing to have a conversation about that and look outside of our own echo chamber. But here's what I'm saying. If you're a conservative on a university campus right now, take heart in knowing that when you graduate, your education is going to be monumentally better than anybody else you've ever sat to, because you are the only one on that campus. And this principle applies to everything in life right now for conservative. You are the only one on that campus for 4 solid years that's actually had to figure out what you believe, be able to articulate it in a way that's convincing to others, and more so, convincing to you. You are the only one that I say all the time has now a logically cohesive, from beginning to end worldview. Democrats do not have that opportunity, and I pity them for it. I don't feel sorry for my Republican buddies. I don't feel sorry for my conservative friends in the university anymore. They are the ones that should be envied. I have pity for my liberal friends who never have the ability to get beyond their own echo chambers to seriously question anything about their own existence. What a dire way to live. Completely devoid of meaning unless someone else tells you what you mean. It's not how I'm living. 7:34, be right back.
What can I say except you?
Where's my water? I didn't bring it in. That's sad. That's sad, yo. Oh, here's what I'll leave y'all with. I gotta go get some coffee and find this water somewhere. Yup. Tell me if y'all find this interesting or not. Yeah, boy. This was brought to my attention yesterday from a headline that I read. Where's the headline? China selling high-tech technology to Latin America, stoking U.S. concerns. Check this out.
Maza is with the Latin American Studies and International Development Programs at the Johns Hopkins University. She traces the big jump in Chinese migration to Latin America, which happened about 50 years ago.
We really mark a difference, at least for Chinese migration from the mainland to Latin America in the 1970s, when the external policy began to change about allowing more Chinese to migrate abroad, and that's where we see those differences.
The opening up the reforms, and then I guess now China has such a global footprint. Is that also contributing to, is it continuing, I guess, this march of migration?
Well, certainly for Latin America, it has moved up, and really moved up with the changes in Chinese investment and trade, really for Latin America post-2005. So the migration that was seen in Africa came earlier, and Latin America push in terms of increased Chinese migration to the region really came both accompanying new investments of the Chinese in Latin America, as well as this what would be independent labor that came to, in essence, unite with the Chinatowns that started in the 1870s and 1880s.
My daughter lived in Guyana, a very small, remote village, but we had to transit through Lethem to get there. And in Lethem, I came across these Chinese Chinese employees, Chinese stores selling materials. And you would think in this kind of remote area, you wouldn't see that. And I guess that's kind of a story that most people aren't familiar with. I mean, you think about, okay, well, there's a certain amount of trade here and there, but even in kind of some of these remote areas, you're seeing a Chinese migration as well.
I think most people associate Chinese presence in Latin America with the Chinatowns that one could see in Santo Domingo, in Peru, but this remote enclaves of Chinese communities in agricultural areas and in border towns, like you saw, is really, again, what we're seeing in the most recent times, that is 2010 onward, and yet we can't see them in national statistics. Most surveys of foreign-born populations are taken every 10 years on a census, and they're sort of equally measured across the country, and we know all immigrant groups live in big clusters. So whenever they survey, they get a smaller percentage of the Chinese, because the Chinese, and as well as any other immigrant group, are clustered together, so it underreports there. But the other issue that you saw in Guyana is that there's so much more movement across borders now, so that when they take this one moment in time survey, they are missing the movement and between Guyana and Brazil, which is one of the big flows, and now Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and Brazil are big corridors along with Colombia, and we're just not capturing it in statistics.
For someone who looks at this, studies it, what do you find fascinating about it?
For me, what's fascinating is the interconnections between trade, investment, and migration. We tend to look at migration in a kind of sort of singular focus, that migration is just about people moving for work, principally. But what we really see is how that migration integrates with trade. The Chinese often link their migration to products and their regions back home. So we see this line of importation of Cantonese goods to certain areas where the Cantonese are in Latin America.
This video was made. Alright, Rico, Michael, Chad, Ray. I think we go to Chad first. He sounds like a fairly new caller.
south of Callahan, Palisade Parkway north of Westland. No surprise there. Now there's a report of a wreck. We're trying to double check, follow up on Middlebury Pike at Ball Camp. Those of you on and off of Lovell Road, just kind of wait your place in line. Holston Hills Country Club has openings for select membership. It includes swimming pool, tennis courts, workout center. Holston Hills, the Donald Ross course. Great opportunity. Call 523-4119. I'm Pete Michaels.
I'm gonna punch someone in their face. You don't get it right, I'm gonna punch in your face. Are you recording this? No, you're not. Okay.
Hiya, Bobby.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go for a ride?
Sure, Ken.
Jump in.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic.
It's gonna get me shut off Facebook, that song. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Yeah. Y'all know I'm a Barbie girl. Why can't you reach the site? Hey, welcome back to Real News.
Ladies and gentlemen, one final thing, and then I'm going to go to Chad, then to Ray, then probably to Rico and Michael. Kyle on Facebook earlier was saying, let me see if I can find this. Here we go. Yeah, I was talking about best audience in the nation appreciation Friday. Colin, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Kyle said, hey, let's talk about how the welfare system is actually a form of suppression. Interesting stuff here, right? It goes a little bit to Thomas Sowell's version of sort of the soft bigotry of low expectations. And we were talking a little bit off Facebook, and this plays into my whole rant that I just went on before about wearing the MAGA hat, about Mother Teresa now being offensive on Twitter. Apparently Mother Teresa is espousing hate speech. Who knew? And this plays into what I just said before. I now pity those on the left that don't have the opportunity to defend their worldview and genuinely, intellectually, honestly vet this stuff out, so that at the end of a period where you should be doing nothing else other than going through intellectual rigor to figure out what you believe in. I told you, I don't know if I've told this story before. Maybe I shouldn't tell this story, but when I was going through my biblical training, y'all, I got pretty close to actually losing my faith. Whatever, I'm doing it now. I've said it, so here we go. I got so into studying philosophy and other world religions and trying to make sense of everything logically. And I'll tell you right now, man, if you try and make sense of God logically, you're going to destroy the mystery of that magnificent individual, that magnificent entity. You always end up suffocating the magnificence of God when you try and put him in a box, right? I ended up calling myself a Calvarminianist at the end of it because both are correct and both are wrong in some sense too. But anyway, suffice it to say, I got so much into this that I ended up getting very close to logically convincing myself out of my faith. But I never lost my faith. And at the end of all that, when I look back at it now, man, I would do that all over again in a second. What that did to build up my faith, what that did to genuinely question where I come from. I can stand on anything right now, in front of anyone right now, and genuinely defend what I believe and why I believe it. And I do not take that for granted for a second, I promise y'all. I envy our conservatives on these university campuses right now and what they have to go through, the black sheeps of these universities. I envy them because they're going to be such better human beings, such better individuals at the end of the day for all of this. One last thing, and then I'll get to these calls. Kyle said, yeah, you know, the whole idea about welfare is this sort of the teach a man to fish principle. And I'm thinking to myself, man, it's just so frustrating, though, because it's sort of that. It's sort of when we're talking about welfare. Everyone in this life needs a hand up, okay? I get hand ups all the time. I'm doing one right now from Kyle to help me with this show. We get hand ups all the time. That's different than a perpetual handout. You know what I'm saying? That's different than a perpetual handout and becoming continually, constantly reliant upon someone else for your worth in life. And I find myself struggling to figure, yes, when we're talking about that Christocentric principle, right, of the thing of teach a man to fish, and then, all right, fine. But that also presupposes that in America right now, someone has the opportunity to choose one or the other. That in any given situation, someone has the opportunity to choose how to learn how to fish, struggle for a couple days, a couple weeks, really going through the turmoil of what it is to learn how to be self-sufficient so that your future endeavors will be that much better based upon your period of preparation, or just get a fish for that single day and survive. I think there's a misconception that in America, everyone has that choice because, frankly speaking,
If you're on the left and you come to someone and say, I don't really know how I feel about this full-on socialism thing. I don't really like the idea of having no self-responsibility. I don't really like the idea of not being considered an individual. I don't really like the idea of constantly have to be reliant upon someone else or some other government for my self-worth, for my existence, for my meaning in life. I don't like that. See ya! Get out of here. Leave my party. You don't want any part of this socialist America? You can get out. That's what it's going to become, Ross. She's laughing. That's what it's going to become. I'm serious. And I think there's an entire half of this country now that would be forced to agree with me if they were being honest. Yes, I don't think you have the opportunity to be taught how to be self-sufficient. I don't think you do. It's not a part of the religious cult. Hey, let's go to Chad. Sorry, everybody, for hanging on so long. Chad, I'll get to you first. What's on your mind, buddy?
Good morning, Mr. Henry. How's everything?
Doing well, sir.
All right. Well, you said we could just bring anything to the table, so
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about something that I've heard mentioned a couple times here and there, and that I've heard gone into any great detailed discussion. Not that we have to do that right now, but I wanted to make you aware of a program. It's not a competitor of yours, but it's on different podcast platforms out there. The name of it is Soteriology 101.
Interesting.
And soteriology is a big fancy word. It just means a study of salvation. But there's, different camps in Christianity that believe in, most people are divided into a Calvinist point of view or an Arminian point of view. And there are others, a lot of people don't like to be labeled, so they make their own. But it's something that, it's very similar to what you're talking about with politics, not being stuck in your own echo chamber. This podcast, this fellow who runs it, Leighton Flowers is his name, and he always plays people in their own words and then interacts with that. So I think it's something that I think you do a good job of it. Others do a good job of it. Some don't do it at all ever. They just kind of cherry pick the worst parts of people and act like that's how they are all the time or something. But I think if we interact with what people actually say, it kind of means something. It lends a little bit of credibility to what you're saying.
Hey, it's interesting you bring this up, Chad, too, because if I'm being honest with you, man, it was through my biblical, and I just told this story off air. I'm sure you caught some, not off air, but right before I brought you on air, I'm sure you caught some of it. It was actually through my biblical training that's not Calvinism in particular, but hyper-Calvinism, the whole 7 points of hyper-Calvinism, that really started me to get me to question who it was, this entity that I was believing in. Do you know what I'm saying? And I started to find myself thinking that I was following sort of this vindictive, arbitrary creator, and I just really didn't like the feeling of that, man. I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying what Calvinism is. I'm just saying it's very interesting too, because when you bring up these interesting things of Calvinism and Arminianism, it's so frustrating because if you try and use them as apologetic tools, you know what I'm saying, quickly can become this thing where you're sort of losing ground there. I don't think it was ever meant to be that, and I think it's caught in a bad rap, Calvinism, Arminianism. So if you go check out this thing, again, here it is, was Soteriology 101, soteriology101.com is the website. I would say, too, don't try and use this on your buddies, man. I think this is always meant for a process of sanctification. You get what I'm saying? I think this is always meant for a process. Calvinism, Arminianism is to bring you closer to Christ in your walk with Christ and to let you know why it's such an insanely, intricately beautiful thing that we have the opportunity to become more like Christ. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't encourage anybody to evangelize using anything like this at all. It makes for interesting discussion about just the amazing way that God has chosen who he has chosen to be saved, the kind of process, and it makes you fall in love with him more. I did think that it was kind of ironic that I don't think Roz knowingly mentioned stomping through the tulips earlier about 5 or 6 minutes ago. That was kind of funny. TULIP being the acronym.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, that was it, brother.
Chad, I
Take
appreciate
a look at it.
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you so much, Chad. Hey, this is Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. I like that, man. I seriously did just come up with that in 2 seconds coming on air. Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. I like that. Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. Roz is not agreeing with that statement that I'm that good. 865-888-TALK. That's 865.
Do you know who I am?
No, I can't say that I do.
Well, you should. I'm kind of a big deal. I don't want to get to either one of these callers yet. I want to give them enough time. We'll hit this break here in a minute. I'll probably come back with Ray. Rico and Michael always has a lot on his mind. I want to give him enough time. Ray's talking about getting rid of 9/11 memorials. Best Audience of the Nation Appreciation Friday. If you have anything on your mind that I'm not talking about today, 865-888-TALK, 865-888-8255. Just to let you all know what Chad was talking about. If you don't know what that tulip is of Calvinism, here's the tulip. T stands for total depravity. You are totally depraved before you come to find Christ. There's nothing you can offer to Christ that would actually at all be worthy of him considering your salvation. It's only because God offers it to you. We are his creation. U, unconditional election. L, limited atonement. That's the one that causes most people the most controversy. I don't want to get into that today. Unless you want me to get into that today, I'll just tell you what it stands for. Limited atonement is that Christ died for those that chose to be saved. I, irresistible grace. Irresistible grace is once you're presented with the proposition of the Holy Spirit, it is so magnificent, so overwhelming, you cannot choose otherwise. And P, perseverance of the saints. Once saved, always saved, y'all. That's the one of the more comforting things in the Bible right there. You can backslide. You can backslide. You can mortally backslide, but you will never, ever... He will never let you free from his grasp. That is the truth. 7:52 right now. I'll be back with Ray. Be right back.
Let's go! Shoot, yeah, y'all can win prizes, Kelly. I got, like, Uber. I never get prizes away in this show just because I get so distracted from doing other stuff. We have Smokies tickets. We got Ice Bears tickets for the playoffs. What do y'all want to win? Hold on, let me get Roz in here. I'll tell her what to win. Well, how about this? You call in, bring up any topic that I'm not currently talking about. I'll give you something. Let me see what I actually have to give away.
What do we have to give away back there? Still the same stuff? Smokies tickets, Ice Bears tickets?
We need to give away Smokies tickets.
Let's try and give away as much stuff as possible today, man. I mean...
Appreciation Friday!
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Greatest Nation
Obviously.
Appreciation Friday.
Obviously. Why? Why? Is it because you have nothing to say? Or like what?
No. On Facebook, do we win prizes? And I was like, because there's a bunch back there.
What's going on, Kelly?
Like 50?
Don't worry about it, Kelly.
Don't worry about it, Kelly. Because are we
Spurs tickets. Yesterday.
Happy to me.
Yeah.
That's not even.
That was it because remember we were supposed to give away Smokies tickets, so we never did.
It's not a real sentence. What?
Test drive one of the new.
That is not. We could give away. I've got like 18 of these things. Smokies tickets, papers for 4. I got like 18 of them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Becky was just trying to like straight hand those out to people last night.
Yeah, we have so many tickets.
Yeah. Smokies
Pretty
folks came in here and gave us like, I'm talking like Uber stacks. Just like, where are your tickets? Everywhere. Smoky tickets and house. Is there anything paired with?
What? Like 5 minutes of Grant Henry time.
From?
Yeah. Went totally off air.
That's not a bad gift, yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be Grant's opinion.
Yeah.
Henry.
Yeah. No, just straight thanks.
Yeah. Whatever topic you want, 5 minutes.
Yeah, that could get me in trouble. All right.
Stopwatch. I'm counting, so I'm going to make sure it's 5 minutes legit.
Shoot, you better have a good question in mind, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's not bad, right?
No. Yeah. We can do it.
I don't think anybody cares about it, but we can. You know.
No opinion, but
yeah. It could work.
The rest of us beginning to get that 2 to 4 minute slowdown on and off at Asheville Highway. The orange and white game is Saturday tomorrow at 6 p.m. in Neyland Stadium. Admission is free. I'm Pete Michaels.
Everyone is talking about healthcare.
Is y'all's audio chopping out Facebook? I think I had this Mevo mic way too hot. Let me test. Test! Yeah, that's way too hot. It's too hot. Meatball Mike's too hot.
If you feel like a room without a roof, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel that. Clap along if you feel that I don't know the lyrics. That's okay, cause it still sounds so super duper good.
Hey.
Welcome back. Greatest nation in appreciation. That's not right. Greatest audience in the nation appreciation Friday. I'm going to get it down one of these days. Let's go to Ray for 2 minutes left. Ray, depending on how interesting this topic is, because it's greatest audience in the nation appreciation Friday, you call in and talk about whatever the audience wants to talk about. We may carry this over to the break. Seth Henning says, getting rid of 9/11 memorials. Oh, goodness. You becoming a Congressman Omar here, buddy? What's on your mind?
Happy BANAF, man.
Yeah.
This Omar thing, it scares me because here in Oak Ridge, the city of Oak Ridge, here in East Tennessee, we have forgotten about 9/11.
Ooh.
We're removing our memorials. They're no longer in the public domain. They're being yanked out. And what Congressman Omar is doing is lessening the blow of it. It's more of a revisionist thing that, oh, these were just some people. No, these people had hate in their heart. And this is the type of event that does need to be memorialized. Because without our future youth knowing that people hate us, how are we going to ever defend ourselves?
Now, just to the Real News audience, that was very poorly timed by me while I was sipping coffee while I was about to talk. So the Real News audience knows what Ray is talking about. Most of you do. For those that don't, Congresswoman Omar, freshman Congresswoman, sorry about that. She recently said, I don't know the name of this organization, but it's an organization that was created for Muslim individuals. I'm not exactly sure the purpose of the organization. Whatever. That's all. I'll get to that after the break. What she said, though, is at a meeting here that something happened on 9/11 where some people did something. And a lot of other congressmen got pretty upset about this, saying, hold on. I've never before heard 9/11 described as just some people doing something. That's what Ray's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And for her to come out there to pretend that she didn't know, that's a slap in every American's face.
Well, then, of course, she knew. She had to pander to that on. She knew exactly what she was doing. Yeah, there's no way she can get away with that response now. I just didn't know that people were going to take offense to it. Yeah, you knew people were going to take offense to it. You just didn't want to offend the audience that was in front of you at that particular time.
Absolutely. And our elected officials are playing into this game that, we could just rewrite the history by removing. It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. You know, if we've got a problem with 9/11 and the Muslim jihadists out there or the Islamic army, if we got a problem with that, we can't just forget about it, people. We have got to deal with this face on.
And everyone keeps bringing up this issue that it's racist to try and critique her response somehow. First of all, just so we're all on the same page, Islam is not a race. We get that, right? Like, we all understand that, right? Let me hold you over the break, man. I want to continue this, but we're going to hit this break, all right? Putting Ray back on hold. 7:59, news, traffic, weather, all that. Be right back.
I'm liking this Talk Anything Friday. This is fun. I like it a lot. That's one of my wife's favorite things to say to me, by the way. I like it. I like it a lot. Here, listen to this. Congresswoman Tlaib defending Omar. Interesting stuff. I'm trying not to clip you all this Mevo audio. I think it sounds all right.
I know that there's something else that has been on your mind and on a lot of folks' minds, and that is some comments and some backlash now to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
2 seconds. Let me see how that sounds. Come on, delay. Congresswoman Tlaib defending Omar. Interesting stuff. Try not to clip you all this Mevo audio. I think it sounds alright.
I know that there's something else that has been on
Yeah, that's not bad.
a lot of folks' minds.
That's not bad. All right, here we go.
Or after some, and I know that there's something else that has been on your mind and on a lot of folks' minds, and that is some comments and some backlash now to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar after some comments surfaced this week in which, and I want to play it, she said something about the 9/11 attacks. I want to talk about your reaction to the backlash and your reaction to the comment in two pieces. So here's that remark, Congresswoman.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
And it's that phrase, people did something, that is being picked up on by some of the Congresswoman's critics, including, for example, the cover of the New York Post, which I will ask you about in a second. But on these remarks themselves, some people did something as a reference to 9/11. Do you think she should have rethought her words? Do you worry about the appropriateness of that?
They do this all the time to us, especially women of color. They do that. They take our words out of context because they're afraid, because we speak truth. We speak truth to power. My sister Ilhan Omar, what she was talking about was uplifting people by supporting their civil liberties and civil rights. She has always condemned any kind of strategy, especially if a person that's directly impacted by being a refugee herself. She sees what terrorism can do. She sees what violence can do to a whole country, to a whole people. Taking it out of context, this is just pure racist act by many of those, hateful acts by those, because she does speak truth when it talks about different issues that they don't disagree with. And I'm really outraged because as a
Last week, 55-year-old Patrick Carlineo Jr. of Addison, New York, was arrested by federal authorities and charged with threatening to kill freshman Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. The charge stems from a call that Carlineo made to her office in which he asked a staffer, quote, "Do you work for the Muslim Brotherhood? Why are you working for her? She's an effing terrorist. I'll put a bullet in her effing skull." Now, that arrest comes less than 2 months after Omar's name was found on the apparent hit list of Coast Guard Lieutenant Christopher Paul Hassan, who had amassed a stockpile of weapons and over 1,000 rounds of ammo. And both of those incidents are pretty important context for understanding just how despicable the cover of the New York Post is today, which shows a picture of the Twin Towers being hit on 9/11 with a headline featuring a quote from Omar. It reads, 9/11 was, quote, "some people did something," below the picture. The towers, it says, "here's your something." Omar's punitive infraction, on which the cover is based, comes from a short clip of the Congresswoman taken abusively out of context from a speech she gave in California last month. The 15-second video being circulated of her speech has been viewed over 2 million times.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
CARE is an organization that advocates for the civil rights of American Muslims. Now, the right has seized on the line, "some people did something," in reference to 9/11 to insinuate the Congresswoman is somehow sympathetic to terrorists. The point she was actually making in the speech was that the acts of 19 men who committed the atrocities on 9/11 should not be held against the billion Muslims who live around the world. It is a concept that has escaped many in the Republican Party, the conservative media, and certainly the president, who called for every last Muslim on the planet to be banned from entering the country writ large. But this latest round of attacks on Omar are clarifying because they show what the issue really is. The Congresswoman has now gone through several rounds of news cycles around controversial things she said or tweeted. Some of them have resulted from statements she made that genuinely made people upset in good faith. For example, her since-deleted tweet about the Benjamins that glibly flirted with anti-Semitic notions about Jewish people and money, and a speech in which she said, quote, "I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country." Omar apologized unequivocally. But that has not stopped her critics from continuing to target her with unrelenting bile. This week, she called Stephen Miller, one of the president's advisors, a white nationalist. A lot of people agree with that, but Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin responded with something of a non sequitur, saying, "During my time in Congress before Ilhan Omar got here, I didn't once witness another member target Jewish people like this with the name-calling and other personal attacks." throughout these controversies, one always had the sense that those leading the charge against Ilhan Omar were less upset about what she said than about who she is. For example, Janine Pirro, who had this to say.
Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia?
Is that loud?
Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran...
Not bad. Caller on line 2. Pick up the phone for line 2. Daniel Johnson. I know a bunch of folks with the last name Johnson. What's up, Daniel? I got some new Facebook folks in here, man. I love my Facebook. Not my Facebook, sorry. I love the Facebook. Y'all. I love y'all. I hate Facebook, but I love y'all. Terrestrial audience makes it worth a little bit, a lot of it, but y'all, man, I'm telling you. I would do this show just for y'all. That's the truth. And you will know it's the truth. One of my best friends is a guy named David Johnson. He was a bassist in my high school band. Great musician. Great.
I know that there's something else that...
I call him a musician. I don't think I'm a musician. Unfortunately, drummers, man, we get the bad rap. We're like, like one of those things that can't live with and you can't live without. You gotta have us, man. You gotta have us.
Off early at 9, and we got Smokies tickets to give away.
Right.
Lots of them.
Right.
Let's do.
Mr. Henry. It's not my real name, by the way. It's this character I play on this program entitled Real News. Yes, it is a character. It is. Let's be honest here. It's a character. I don't give you all my actual opinion on things sometimes because it's for a purpose. It's for a very intricate, long thought-out purpose. I promise you, I promise you it is. There's a reason why I do what I do. There's a reason why I am what I am. At least on air. It's multifaceted. It's multifaceted. For my protection, for your protection, for all of our growth. This is getting very weird. Hey, some quick housekeeping stuff update. I'm gonna go back to Ray here, and then we're gonna get
you. I just felt it was appropriate. I'm so sorry.
I think it was. That's awesome. 9 o'clock, sometime shortly after 9, we are updating our FM.
A thing is going to happen.
A thing's going to happen, yeah. Updating all our FM stuff. So this program, as far as the terrestrial waves are concerned, shortly after 9 is going to go off air.
We're out of here, bro.
We're out of here. So if I'm cut off mid-sentence, check out the Facebook, Real News Radio Facebook in your Facebook search bar. What do you want to do? I might continue there. On Facebook, I may just do this thing where Mr. Henry transforms into Grant on Facebook, and until 10, what I may just end up doing is hey, open question period. Ask what Grant
Actually
thinks about
give
something.
Your real opinion.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Stop playing the character for a minute and then go into Grant. What does Grant think about whatever? Ask me that in Facebook, and I may be honest with you.
Nice.
Yeah, really.
I hope you do.
So anyways, the point being is if you hear me cut off in mid-sentence, have to go to Facebook or whatever, or check us back out on Monday to figure out what I was saying. Today, new segment we're doing as well. Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday, which basically my interpretation of Open Lines Friday. Whatever y'all want to talk about for the next hour here, literally anything and everything goes. I don't care what it is. As long as you just call in and don't violate FCC rules here for me, I will talk about whatever you want to talk about, I promise you. With that being said, let's go to Ray on that Crown Plaza call number. Here's the number. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Smokey's tickets,
and for, BANAF.
Family 4-pack for the BANAF. Family 4-pack of tickets to the Smokies, any home game you want to go to. Family 4-pack of tickets. This is probably what I'll do is if you want to come in here, you don't have to. But for BANAF, if you call in and just bring up any topic at all, we will award you.
No.
No?
No.
What are you going to do?
Everybody's calling in. I'm not awarding everybody.
We have like 300 of these tickets to give away.
I don't like it. I'll come up with a riddle. I'll come up with something. Okay.
Roz will come up with. I'm just trying to give these away. Roz will come up with something. Ray. Hey, before you get back into this, buddy, let me, Roz, is this computer good here? This is what Ray's talking about. Hang on. Here's what Ray's talking about. Ray, this is Representative Tlaib trying to defend Congresswoman Omar's statements.
I know that there's something else that has been on your mind and on a lot of folks' minds, and that is some comments and some backlash now to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar after some comments surfaced this week in which, and I want to play it, she said something about the 9/11 attacks. I want to talk about your reaction to the backlash and your reaction to the comment in two pieces. So here's that remark, Congresswoman.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
And it's that phrase, people did something, that is being picked up on by some of the Congresswoman's critics, including, for example, the cover of the New York Post, which I will ask you about in a second. But on these remarks themselves, some people did something.
That cover of the New York Post, by the way, Ray, says, Representative Ilhan Omar, 9/11 was, quote, some people did something, and then it's a big picture of the towers just horrifically exploding, and at the bottom it says, here's your something, 2,977 people dead by terrorism. And I will add on to that saying, by the way, that number is still ticking up. People are still dying from this. You want to know what I'm talking about? Exposure to the building materials. People are still dying from cancer and other related issues. Give me about 30 seconds more, Ray. I want to play the rest of Tlaib's response here.
Thing as a reference to 9/11. Do you think she should have rethought her words? Do you worry about the appropriateness of that?
They do this all the time to us, especially women of color. They do that.
Really?
They take our words because they're afraid, because we speak truth. We speak truth to power. My sister Ilhan Omar, what she was talking about was uplifting people by supporting their civil liberties and civil rights. She has always condemned any strategy, especially of a person that's directly impacted by being a refugee herself. She sees what terrorism can do. She sees what violence can do to a whole country, to a whole people. Taking it out of context, this is just pure racist act by many of those, hateful acts by those, because she does speak truth. It talks about different issues that they disagree with. And I'm really outraged because
it's just such a tired response, Ray. Like, look, bro, you don't need to be completely reliant upon the immediate jump to racism and misogyny to prove that point that what she was trying to do was speak towards people's civil liberties being removed. You could just make that statement in and of itself. Ray, what do you think about what's going on?
Yeah, her pulling out that it's our liberties. Well, let me remind her on that day, for an American, it was like a lead blanket being laid upon our liberty. And we could not have any worse of a day being alive in America. And then to come out with the lie that this group was formed after 9/11, so untrue. This group was boiling out of the streets of New York City since the Blind Sheik bombed the parking garage of the World Trade Center. So where she's coming from is really, it shocked me, Mr. Henry, that it could be laid out that way. It's like your family members coming up to you and saying, oh, your parents never existed. And I'm like, where are you coming from? Just because they have moved on doesn't that day still affects me. It hurt. It hurt so bad. And then to come here to Oak Ridge and find out just like it's a Confederate statue, in the darkness of the night, they are removing these 9/11 statues.
No, I hear you. And Roz, we got a call in line too there too. And it, honestly, bro, it's what you're saying. I mean, all she had to do was come on here and say, look, we don't have to have these blanket statements that if extremist Muslims now all of a sudden set the standard for what the religion of Islam means, any more than someone might say that a few select racist or white supremacists or identitarians on the right now all of a sudden set the standard for being a Trump supporter. Now, I will say, as Augustine always said, you can never judge a philosophy based upon its perversion. And people are not going to like to hear me say this, but Sam Harris said it first, so I'll just quote him. It would not necessarily be a perversion of that philosophy on the side of Islam, not necessarily be a full-on perversion of that philosophy as much as it would be. So it's somewhat of a false equivalency for me to draw that there. You know what I'm saying? Again, not my words. I'm quoting Sam Harris here. But you follow what I'm saying. She didn't have to immediately resort to racism, misogyny, all this other xenophobe.
Right.
I mean, all this other stuff to prove her point of don't label all of us for this one terrible, terrible, heinous act in American history. And that's, frankly speaking, how do you not label it as that? 3,000 folks? 3,000 American lives just destroyed in an instant? How do you get away with that?
I have no idea. We're going to have to update her programming or something, because to have this kind of talk within our congressional halls, it's going to spread a disease in this nation that we won't stop. Absolutely. It's going to create the talk. It's going to create the banter of, oh, just forget about it. Okay, let's forget about all of this other stuff, including your book. Whatever written pages you have, let's just erase them all and start today with how you feel about it.
No,
Mr. Henry, I cannot explain how just the fire inside me to forget our past is not something that should be happening.
No, I know. And these conversations, they're difficult to have, man. And it's not like this thing of truth hurts. Of course truth hurts, man. But these conversations, I mean, look, Theresa May said it a long time back when they were having their spout of what is it, 3 terrorist attacks in a period of 3 months, something to that effect. She basically came out and said, okay, look, I realize that you all believe that Islamophobia is a thing, but we need to start having these conversations. Much like I pitched to the Real News Audience today, I realize that you guys, not you guys, but I'm talking about the proverbial you, that people on the right don't want to have a conversation about this alleged rise in white supremacy, whatever else. But the rest of the country is having that conversation, and we need to get into the forefront of trying to put that in a logical box and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. You get what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
And it's now to the point now where the only stuff that's not considered offensive is blaspheming Christ and talking about white males. That's the only thing that's not offensive anymore. Everything under the sun now is offensive, so much so I'm going to play this clip when I get back. I think now Mother Teresa, bro, Mother Teresa now is considered offensive for talking about abortion.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I read that. That just, we're on the deep end of some kind of pool that is just pure evil. Pure evil, because these people cannot think of this on their own. There is an outside force putting this within our border.
No, that's true.
And the talk is just a start. And when Congressman Omar starts enacting it, I could expect whatever kind of common sense you have within your institution, it will be erased.
Yeah, but I'm starting, honestly, as ridiculous as the philosophy has become, and I say ridiculous on its face, man. I'm talking anybody that's been trained in this before that can actually see the worldview that's being espoused and think to themselves, like, for real? How do you guys remain consistent at all, ever? You can't. You simply can't. I'm starting to think that from, 60 or 70 years ago, some brilliant strategist, as Bush would say, got together with some think tank and said, you know what we need to do? We need to start instilling this philosophy into the left, so eventually it will cave upon itself. It's getting that absurd now. It really is getting that absurd that there's an inability to defend a stance, so much so on the left now that I'm starting, and a little bit on the right, let's be fair, but a lot on the left now that I'm thinking someone else had to coach you into being so illogical. I don't see any other way.
Yes.
I don't see any other way.
Yeah, I feel it exactly the same way. That doesn't come out of an American's mouth, what she said. And to have her stand up in the halls of this nation and say that, to me, it's one notch below blasphemy. And when you pull that kind of rhetoric out, and that's the truest form of rhetoric, what she did, to have the minds of these young people in our nation, oh, it's just somebody. Well, we'd like to have a little bit more of a past than just, oh, yeah, it was some battle.
And Ray, for the people that are upset about this, it doesn't have anything to do with religion or race or national origin or whatever. Right? It has to do with 3,000 innocent souls being taken from this world. That's what it has to do with, and based in nothing more than just pure hatred and vitriolic response to the American ideals. That's what people are upset about. I don't care about your religion, man. I'm not talking about the religion of Islam or the mess of, why it was done or how it was done or whatever. I'm talking about 3,000 innocent people being stripped from this earth. That's why we're upset. And your inability to recognize that for the heinous nature of what it was is why people are mad. They're not trying to label you as because of your religion or your race or anything else. It's absurd. But, Ray, I appreciate the call as always, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, May 12th, BANAF. We're going to have a party.
That's right.
It's the Facebook anniversary. I'll talk to you later.
All
Bye.
right, buddy. There goes Ray. BANAF, best audience in the nation. Appreciation Friday, 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255. 888-8255. Any and everything y'all want to talk about calling today, we'll talk about it. We got to hit this break coming up, then I'll get to Recode. Michael, what I'm talking about, here's Ted Cruz presenting to some senior high-level executives at Twitter. What do you make of this?
We know that Senator Blackburn's post was pulled down. Let me ask a comparable question, because it's not just political, it's also ideological. There have been multiple instances of, in particular, pro-life groups being disfavored. For example, here is a tweet that says abortion is profoundly anti-women, and it's a quote from Mother Teresa. And this tweet was blocked. Now it is fairly remarkable.
And again, he doesn't quote this here, but the tweet he's talking about is abortion is profoundly anti-women. 3/4 of its victims are women, half the babies and all the mothers. Half the babies and all the mothers. That's the tweet that was quoted. I'm going to hit this break, and then we'll come back with the response from Twitter. It's a 12-second pause, and it's just interesting. Be right back.
Man, I'm having fun with this one today. It's getting me out of my funk that I've been in. My mental funk. That was funk, just so y'all know. I want to keep going all the way to 10. I think I might do that with y'all if y'all are game. If we're off air at some 9 or something, I may just continue with the Facebook. I'll use the mic audio though if I can. Whatever questions you have for Grant or the Real News audience or Roz or whoever. You want to know some industry secrets? Ask me. You want to know what Grant actually thinks about something for real? Ask me. I will say most likely nothing's off the table. Most likely. Unless y'all are trying to give me trouble for running off for office one day because, the internet lives forever. But hey, whatever. I got to get my opinion on this stuff at some point, right? Roy? Hey, by the way, y'all know, y'all remember me? Oh! We brought up this Q stuff every now and then. We brought up this Q stuff. QAnon, whatever. 2 seconds. No, not 2 seconds. Like 30 seconds. Right, there we go. Nope. Yep, there we go. So, Julian Assange, he is arrested. The U.S. makes a claim on it. Their claim is that when Chelsea Manning was Bradley Manning, Julian Assange works with then Bradley Manning to, hack some database somewhere. And that's what they're charging him with now. And Q's response to this entire thing is all was by design. There's so much weird stuff coming out with that Assange stuff, man. Julian Assange comes out of there holding a Gore Vidal book, screaming some cryptic message to Trump, saying that Trump supporters and Trump followers are, yeah, I'm true. I'm not. Roz is losing her mind with all these colors. It was ringing. Anyways, but he's screaming these cryptic messages that he knows going to get back to Trump and calling. What do you say? Hang on here. I have this on my pocket account. Trump supporters. Yeah, called Trump supporters and the Trump crowd clowns. Just none of it makes sense to me, man. None of it makes sense. And I'm not saying the Q response makes any more sense than any of the other ones, but what Q is pushing out to their followers now, here's the way I think of Q. Fringe, outside right is Q. Which is why I unfortunately can't take them seriously yet. Anyways, their whole thing is that Assange was purposely arrested because there's about to be this big ramp up of all the Hillary stuff, the indictments, the stuff that Nunez is talking about, the 7 criminal indictments that he just passed off to William Barr. Apparently, all that stuff, they need some actual witness testimony, and they're saying that Assange is that witness testimony. That's what Q's saying now they have control of the sole witness in this whole thing. I don't know, man. Make of it what you will.
You got to stand for something or you fall for anything. It's BANAF. Best audience in the nation. Appreciation Friday. Give me a call on 865-888-TALK, 865-888-8255. We'll talk about whatever you want to. Let's go to Recode Mike, who's been hanging on for the longest here. Buddy, thanks for hanging on so long. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I just wanted to give you an update. Good morning. So a friend of mine attended the West Knoxville GOP meeting, and he said he was stunned by the number of people who had no idea what Recode was.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, JB's been talking about this some, and I know that he's wanted to call in for a while and talk to you about it, but kind of in the same vein of what Ray is talking about, we're in sort of a 1984 type world now. JB was talking with me, and he was saying the reason that people don't know about Recode is over the years, they've been conditioned to get their news from the Knoxville News Central or from the 3 television stations. Well, there's a media blackout on Recode, and it's deliberate. And so the question is, why? This is the biggest story in 50 years here. Why is there a media blackout? There's a new editor over at the, it's not even the Sentinel anymore. It's now called Knox News. They actually changed the sign on the building. Jack McElroy is no longer the editor. The new editor is Joel Christopher. And his phone number, his direct number, is 342-6300. You know, I'd like the Recode Resistance to call him and ask him why he's dodging the story.
Hey, real quick, Rico, Michael, I don't think these two stories have anything to do with each other, but you know a lot more about this than I do. Does any of this stuff of the moving and shaking of people, not in power, but I don't know, the supervisory positions, say it, what is it, WLTV or WVLT or whatever, and Knox News, does any of that have to do with, who was it, Aldridge? Didn't Dave Aldridge just sort of step down and Bob Yarbrough's no longer a host of that? Do you know anything that's going on with that at all? I don't know if these two play together or not, but do you know anything about that?
There is some media dynamic that's happening in this town. Recode is not the only thing that's being suppressed. If you look at Chapman Highway, this is just an example. Now, last week they voted on some funding for Chapman Highway, but if you go to Knox News and plug into the search engine and put in Chapman Highway, you cannot find that story. So we've got this thing here where, you know, somebody died last night in a 2-car collision on Chapman Highway. And that's one of the things that I keep on trying to stress to people. This thing isn't about Recode. It's about representation. It's about our media. They are not the media anymore. They're really an adjunct to public relations companies. PR companies in this town are now controlling the news.
Yeah, dude, which is why I like working for this station so much. It really is. And frankly speaking, that's why I like working for John Adams so much, because John Adams lets us do what we need to do. Not what I want to do, but what we need to do on these airwaves. And as soon as I let you go here, Rico Mike, I'm going to read about the first 3 or 4 paragraphs of this thing that was sent last night to really prove your point here. But I'm telling you, man, I'm starting to feel it too. Like, I followed Bob Yarbrough for years, man, years and years. That when you know, that talk station was basically the only thing I could listen to. I still listen to Bob on his radio program, man. And Dave was a guy, everybody knows Aldridge's voices, does he not? And I don't know. I don't pretend to know what's really going on behind the scenes there, but it speaks to what Recode Michael's talking about here, y'all. Look, Knox News Sentinel is not owned by. It's a USA Today publication, right, man? Isn't it?
They are, and completely. They are not doing their job. They're no longer the paper of record. Now, I want you to think about this. 50,000 mailings were sent out about RECODE. So there's a meeting at the West Knox GOP. My friends I asked him, I said, I was asking if he'd do a man on the street thing at Westtown Mall and get some audio or video, and we'd put it up on YouTube. But I was curious, how many people in Knoxville know what RECODE is? And so he was doing it in this meeting, and he gets back with me and he goes, it's unbelievable. Very few people know. How, if everybody got a mailing, how is that possible? Remember, Danny Kirby said, I represent 21 of the largest stores in East Tennessee. Not a single one of them got this mailing. That's 100% failure.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Did they send out 50,000 mailings? They claim they did, but what are we witnessing? The Planning Commission only got 350 phone calls.
Yeah,
how is it possible they sent out 50,000 mailings?
And from this page I'm looking at right here, less than 1% of 180,000 people attended RECODE workshops. Only 1,756 people went to the RECODE meetings. This was all done with no input from citizens and property owners. Public meetings were a sham. Public input was 20 minutes in a 3-hour meeting. 20 minutes in a 3-hour meeting. We got to hit this break right now, RECODE Michael. I always appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, there goes Rico and Michael. Kelly saying on Facebook a bunch of stuff. USA Today is not a local paper. Man, that's right. Also going on to say Backroom Knox and this station are the only places that they've heard about that. I would also point you towards basically us. Knoxville Focus and Knox TN Today and Compass Knox are pretty much the only ones. The only frustrating thing about Compass Knox is it's stuck behind a paywall. Great stuff over there, Compass Knox. Don't get me wrong. It's just most people are less inclined to deal with a paywall now than they ever have been before. 8:32, though, hit this break. Come back with Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. Be right back.
I think I have to do another segment today, too.
Local news.
Sup?
Yes, sup is right.
Are we ever gonna give away this tacos?
Give him some random person. That's what I'm saying. Give him to Billy.
Like, who's Billy? What has Billy done for me?
Billy? You don't know Billy?
No.
His father is a...
You don't know Billy either.
No, I do. I met him at one of these functions. His father's a hotel tycoon. He started one of these massive conglomerate chains, and it's very interesting. He was kind of a dropout, kind of a burnout in high school. You know what I mean? He ended up partying with a bunch of his friends.
Supposed to impress me?
No, he ended up partying with a bunch of friends and were hanging all the time, and it came down, and Billy's dad giving away his hotel to somebody, was going to go to the senior VP, and Billy wanted it. So what he ended up having to do is go back through all the grades of grade school. He started at kindergarten, first and second and third, and then all the way to high school. He would do each grade.
Know him.
2 weeks at a time.
You have no clue who this person
and
is.
then graduates high school, passing his equivalency
I hate you.
exams.
This is why I hate you.
Ends up getting the... And his now girlfriend, wife, very attractive blonde. You know what I mean? Veronica, actually, is her name. And he's about...
You have a wife named Veronica Vaughn.
She's asking Billy...
Who's a... Grant's telling lies about you. Lee's telling me Billy Madison's... I'm saying this is you. Alright. I just wanted to ask you because you really didn't think I was going to ask you. Hold on.
That's awesome.
You're so stupid. He's like, no. Laughing. That's Billy Madison. I heard him.
That's awesome. All right.
Oh, that's great.
I was going to ask you for real,
Well, I got riddles up, so let me know what you want.
Yeah, we could do that, but don't I have isn't it the Gym of the Week thing today, too? I mean, I could do that, like, literally right now before I bring
Representative Omar!
No, it's going to be Mother Teresa as the Gym of the Week, or maybe Ted Cruz, or I don't know, but I can do something with it.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a
there
the
is an
filler
intro.
thing that's played.
There's an intro.
Okay.
I have to just find it.
All right. Yeah. Just with that, then I'll jump to Billy.
Billy?
Can we ask him if we want to share milk? This could be our milk. Eric just told me that on Facebook.
You do whatever you want with Billy. I do not care. I think it'd be hilarious.
That milk belongs to that classic. This could be our milk. No milk will ever be our milk. Oh, man.
I've not watched that movie in forever.
For real?
Yeah.
I watch it probably once a month just because.
Really?
Yeah. I love that movie.
It was one of his better ones.
Yeah, that and Happy Gilmore. And
Faux show.
There's a few
yeah,
other
I
good
got it
ones.
right here. I got the intro.
All right. Play the intro. I'll make sure to explain. I'm going to make it Ted Cruz as the Gym of the
Actually, you
Week,
know
actually.
I don't know where the intro is.
Oh, for real?
Marshall.
Oh, for real?
Okay. I have this Gym of the Week email open, but where's the intro? It's just, yeah, I see, well, I'm in it. It says attachments. It says windmill.dat, embedded something.
Hey, I'm gonna answer line 1.
The Rachel at WRJZ.
Raquel.
All right.
What's up with my intro net, bro? I'm needing this to work like new.
Who's this one?
Huh?
Real news.
I love that she's leaving her mic open through all this.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you are sorry.
What do you want, Ray? I don't got time for you right now. Don't worry about me. Worry about you.
I don't know if she don't have her headphones on right now. I seriously don't know if she knew she leaves this mic open. Roz! Facebook, you're getting a full dose of it, which is awesome.
Bro, don't tell me how to do my job. No. I'm hanging up. I love you. Love you. Bye-bye. What?
Still open.
I don't care.
All right. That's even better.
They gonna get what they gonna get.
Cool. Cool brew.
Doesn't Billy Madison have a theme song? Totally playing it.
Sort of? I don't know. That's not the Billy Madison theme song.
Yeah, no, it's not. I know.
Yo, Facebook, can you still hear me? Yeah, that's it. He's looking through those nudie mags. Honestly, you want to know who my favorite character in the entire movie is?
And achieve victory.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Alright. Wait, does he cuss in this?
I will go back to school and achieve victory. No man will take what my father has built unless the man is me.
My Billy, sweet Billy boy, I knew you would go back. No one can stop you if you try. Don't I have a nice rack?
That's okay, we can get away with that.
Yeah.
I feel like it says the S word or something.
Veronica, I thank you for
Here.
beating the shit out of me.
Yeah, just make sure you...
Okay, then we'll cut it off.
I see things so clearly.
Cut it off.
Nice rack. Don't I have a nice rack? If you try.
When she says that before she says she has a nice rap.
If you try. Don't.
2.3 and AM 760 are those of the hosts and guests of those programs and not necessarily those of the station or management.
Live from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760, this is Real News
With Mr. Henry and Nick Crawford.
Join the conversation on the Crown Plaza call-in line, 865-888-TALK.
I will go back to school and achieve victory. No man will take what my father has built unless that man is me.
My Billy, sweet Billy boy, I knew you would come back.
Yes, that's right. Actually, exclusive phone call right now, Billy, that you just heard singing there. He has a wonderful voice. Very interesting story, compelling story this guy has of having to go back to school to get his father's hotel empire. He has to go back through all the grades 2 weeks at a time. We have Billy on the phone right now. Billy.
You guys are something else.
Billy, what's up, buddy?
All right. So anyway, this is going to take a little bit of time here. I want to take you guys back about 1,500 years. Back to the city called Mecca. We used to be a Christian and, or not Christian, but a Judaism city. And Muhammad came in and he started preaching very lowly to all the people and getting more and more people to turn to Islam. And when they became not a majority, but a minority, they started talking about Islam and preaching against it and yelling about it. And so that's when they started out these blasphemy laws where you couldn't say anything about Islam, just like they've done in Europe. And you can't say anything about Islam. And you can read it in the Quran. I've done a lot of studying on Islam and in the Quran, and I've read it. And so after he started doing the blasphemy laws, and he got the blasphemy laws, and he started getting a majority in there, and then they started a war, and they took over Mecca, and they killed all the Christians and Jews that did not convert. And the ones that they thought were important enough to keep, they kept them as slaves. And they allowed them to practice the religion for a tax. If they paid the tax, then you can practice your religion of Christianity, and only if you paid the tax. And it's the same thing that's going on in Europe now. Same thing that's happening in Europe, and it's starting to happen in America where they're trying to take over. And when they're telling you they're being offended by everything, the only thing that's not offensive is a white Christian male.
Yeah, right.
When they're telling you they're being offended by everything, it's to condition you so that they can start doing blasphemy laws. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about that. If you do, you're going to go to jail because it's illegal. It's hurting somebody's feelings. We have to stand up and let them know, I'm sorry for your feelings being hurt. Not my intention, but truth is truth, and this is what is going on.
Yeah,
until we start standing up.
Sorry, go ahead, Billy. I'm going to let you finish that. Go ahead.
Yeah, until we start standing up for what is right. And I love that song that you played the last time. I always tell my children, stand up for what you believe in, or if you don't stand up for something, you're going to fall for anything. And I tell them that all the time, and that's the honest to God's truth. If we don't stand up for what is right, truth, justice, and the American way, and freedom of speech, whether you like it or not, they still have the right to say it.
And let me try and defend where Billy's coming from here for a minute, okay? So if you're a Democrat or a liberal, progressive, or even if you're a conservative Republican, listen to this and you're thinking for a second, hang on. It sounds like Billy might be fear-mongering a little bit here. No, dude, stop for a second. Pause for just 2 seconds, okay? Let me extrapolate. Pull this back and think about what he's talking about, what's going on with Europe right now, okay? Look at the situation going on in London. Now, do you think that the average individual living in London or living anywhere in the UK would have thought, 20, 30, 50, 60 years ago that would be having serious open consideration of Sharia court going on? Sharia law actually being acted in their legal system. Now, understand what I'm saying here, okay? I personally, I don't know if Billy agrees or not, but I personally have no problem at all if someone wants to make a voluntary assent to go through their religious tenets first, if not the only way of seeking retribution. You don't have to go through the American legal court system. I don't have a problem with that. If you have a problem with your neighbor, if you have a problem with your marriage, if you have a problem with anything, some contract you signed, if a Christian wants to go through the Christian doctrine and have their pastor figure it out for them, fine. I don't care. Much in the same way, if you want to use the religion of Islam to do that, I do not care. The problem, though, is once you start instituting that at a legal level, a legal framework where the American jurisprudence now, the American justice system now has to give that legal backing, like is happening in Britain, like is happening in other places in Europe. And I may be wrong. It's just stories that I've read. Correct me if I am wrong. It may just be ideas or conversations about Sharia court. It may not have been fully adopted into the British legal system yet. That may be true. All I'm saying is that it seems to be an open, accepted practice over there right now. And it's not, it's other things as well, too. You can find posters right now in some cities. I don't know if you want to call them no-go zones or not, but you can find posters in some cities right now where it's not illegal, but it's quote-unquote highly frowned upon to walk your dog out in public. There's actual signs out there saying, in this neighborhood, please don't walk your dog. Now, fill into the religious reasons why as to something like that may be happening. You get what I'm saying, Billy? I mean, I
agree with you 100%. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't care. I mean, in America, we have a freedom of religion. Have your freedom of religion. If you want to go through the Islamic courts, that's fine for you, but it does not override any American law. You cannot override any American law. When you go to get a divorce, it has to be in a divorce equated by American law. You have to give these women the rights, because in Islamic law, they have 1/3 right of a man. So they lose everything if they divorce their husband or leave their husbands. So you have to do, the Sharia law courts, I don't agree with, but I mean, I don't care if that's what you want to do, if both parties agree to it.
And think about, Billy, the juxtaposition of these women's march that are going on right now. And this is a trite example, but think about the juxtaposition of these women's march that are going wrong, excoriating Donald Trump for taking away or allegedly taking away their rights, yet at the same time being so open about supporting some of the stuff that we're talking about. What is going on, man? You're saying Trump is taking away your rights, but at the same time you buy into this aspect of Islamophobia. How much more regressive could you be? Legally regressive. Do you know that Saudi Arabian women just got the right to drive a car, for goodness sakes, last year? Come on, women. What are we talking about? I'm trying to help you. Help me help you in this situation right now. And here's my real fear here, Billy. I said before, do whatever you want to in your own with your own religion. I honestly do not care. If you do not want to seek help from the American legal court system, you do not have to. Please abide by your own tenets. That is one of the best things about this American system that we have. But my real fear, Billy, is if Republicans are continually and constantly pushed, we will have no other option other than to play the same game. Even if we don't want to, we will have no other option but to play the same game. And then all of a sudden, if someone from California so happens to take a trip through Tennessee and blaspheme Christ, they're going to jail. Dude, I don't like that reality any more than I like the other reality that's being pitched on the other side right now.
I agree with you. This is America. We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech, and we should uphold that and fight for that, even if you disagree. I disagree with my niece who lives in California. She drinks so much Kool-Aid. She is so lib. But we disagree. And she always tries to stifle me and tell me, what I'm saying isn't right and I shouldn't say what I'm saying. And I tell her, you know what? You may not agree with it, just like I don't agree with you. But I would stand beside you no matter against what foe to say that you have the right to say what you want.
Yeah,
that is your right. That is your freedom. That is your freedom of speech. And I, even though I disagree 100%, I would fight for you to have that right to say it. And the same should be said for me.
Yeah, when did we lose that sense,
That's the problem with libs, is they won't give you that same respect.
No, of course not. When did we lose that, though, man? When did we lose that? That's not a novel American concept. It's just something that we got right for the first time in a long time. I don't agree with what you're saying, but I will defend to the death your right to say it, buddy. I mean, I don't know when we lost that.
We lost that when we lost the schools, man. When the liberals took over the schools, and they took over the schools in the 60s, they said they can't win the fight with the people, so they're going to take over the schools and take over the generation and do it generational. They take over the schools, they take over the children's minds, and they brainwash them into thinking what's right and what's wrong. That's why they got so many people that want to have that socialism. You mean socialism? Well, you mean freedom for everybody and everybody gets equality? No, it's poor for everybody. Everybody's equally poor. You have your uber rich, you have your uber poor. I mean, that's what California is right now. You look at California, you have your uber wealthy and your uber poor that live in the streets. Because all the middle classes moved out and they moved here to Tennessee.
Yeah, but Billy, if you keep promising the uber poor a bunch of free stuff, it's always going to be okay. Just keep on promising, never deliver, and you can constantly hold them in that sweet spot right there.
And I don't mean this to be anything bad, but I mean, the black community, they've been doing it for 60 years. I look at any black community that's been in the hands of Democrats for the last 50, 60 years. Detroit, Boston, or not Boston, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right,
any Democratic stronghold. They look like working countries. They've lost everything.
Billy,
that is not what we want for America.
I hear you, man. I appreciate the call as always. We'll talk to you soon.
You have a blessed day, brother.
Thank you. There goes Billy. Let me make this pitch one more time. Whenever I start to run for office, one of the first things I'm going to do is reach out to every every possible lower socioeconomic household, neighborhood, community that I can, and implore them to help me figure out how do I reinstill the family unit in this community. You know what I'm saying? That will destroy everything. Everything, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, I don't care. Whatever anybody is trying to do to constantly, continually hold you down, you want to know the antidote for that? Reinstill the values of the family unit. Tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong.
Vote Mr. Henry!
And I'll tell you you're wrong, man. I don't know if I'm not talking taxes or whatever, man. I'm talking trying to figure out how to reinstill those values. That your family is most important. You keep your family close, most of the other stuff will work out. You have the idea and the ideal continually through your community that family is not just important, but something that is constantly, that we constantly, continually have to strive after and protect. Once they started attacking the family unit, the rest of this stuff was easy. The rest of everything we're talking about was easy. It was a cakewalk. Once you destroyed the father, once you destroyed the family, once you had single parent households that were regular, everything else just fit into place. 8:51, be back with caller Matt.
All right, okay, so I wasn't too far off what I said. Hang on. What is this website? Oh, this is coming from the European Court of Human Rights. All right, I guess that's valuable. Okay, all right. In recent times, in countries such as Germany, France, England, Denmark, and Sweden, Sharia law has been applied in a lot of areas in European society. Therefore, it is useful to divide application of Sharia law to the two main areas, Sharia for Muslims and Sharia for non-Muslims. So that's what I said. Revealed through a recent survey, so says the European Court of Human Rights, 60% of Muslims agree they should be returned to the roots of Islam. This is European Muslims. Revealed that in Europe, 60% of Muslims agree they should return to the roots of Islam. 75% think that there is only one interpretation of the Quran possible to which every Muslim should stick. 65% say that religious rules are more important to them than the laws of the country in which they live. 65% of Muslims within the significant Muslim minorities of Southern and Eastern Europe, it's basically Russia and the Balkans, prefer application of Sharia to Muslims only. All right, that's not bad. The other polls revealed that 48% of British Muslims aged 25 to 34 and 50% of those aged 16 to 24 prefer Sharia law. 72% apparently thought that the Danish cartoonists, British Muslims, should have been prosecuted criminally. All right.
One point of quick clarification here, just so I'm right in what I'm presenting here. I never like recanting. From the European Court of Human Rights, they were citing a study. It was revealed that in Europe, almost 60% of Muslims agree that they should return to the roots of Islam. This is in Europe. In Europe, almost 60% of Muslims agree they should return to the roots of Islam. 75% think that there's only one interpretation of the Quran possible to which every Muslim should stick. 65% say that religious rules are more important to them than the laws of the country in which they live. 65% of European Muslims say that religious rules are more important than the laws of the country in which they live. 65% of Muslims with significant Muslim minorities, Southern and Eastern Europe, that's Russia and the Balkans, prefer applications of Sharia to Muslims only. That's pretty good. The one that really kind of threw me off, though, is that apparently 72% of British Muslims that were polled, 72% of British Muslims that were polled thought that the Danish cartoonist that drew Muhammad should have been prosecuted criminally. 72% of British Muslims for drawing a cartoon. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Now, full-on implementation of Sharia law at a legal level might be a different conversation, but the acceptance, the push for it, is kind of what I believe Billy was talking about. Let's go to caller Matt here, talking about something different. Caller Matt, I may pull you over till 9 o'clock hour, depending on how interesting this gets. Couple minutes here. Subheading says info about who funded Hitler. Oh, goodness. What's on your mind, buddy?
There's a lot. By the way, my grandfather did contract work in Saudi Arabia in the 70s. He was threatened twice for taking pictures of Saudi women.
Oh, wow.
To show how they were being oppressed. Oh, they took his camera a second time. First time, they said, "We will take your hands." And the second time, they just took his camera. They literally were going to cut his hands off for photographing women. But let's get back to Hitler. All right. The whole thing, what you have to understand is who owned the newspapers in Germany in World War II. Same families that own our newspapers here in America right now. Same companies, same everything. Okay. Same people that funded Lenin and sent him on the train full of gold are these same people that funded and moved Hitler into power. Hitler was recruited out of a communist propaganda newspaper after World War I. He was pushed into the role by Ludendorff and a guy named Meyer. They explain all of this. Hitler's job was to bring nationalism, make it popular, and then burn all of the nationalists. He was caught. What did he do to the Ukrainian fascists, the Nazi party there? Threw him in the gulag, threw him in the prison. Then him and Stalin would work together to cut down Ukrainians. His job, you can find where him and Stalin worked together to cut up Poland. Hitler would go in, weaken Poland, and let Stalin roll in. That was the whole point to the job. Part of it was burning the German soldiers. There was a no-retreat policy Hitler had, never to retreat. These people died. Just normal German people. These weren't hateful people. They were just normal Germans in the German army. They were nationalists. They loved Germany, so they thought they had to fight for Germany. It was a trick. Let's see. Let's get...
Hey, Matt, let me stop you there, too, but let me do this, man. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be on past the 9 o'clock hour as far as terrestrial is concerned. Facebook will probably get all of this. What I'd like to do, man, is put you back on hold, because I kind of want to get your opinion on something you just brought back up there. I don't know if you're saying that it's the same sort of entities that are controlling then that are controlling now. I'd like to know your opinion on if you think there's any similarities between, say, the Bolshevik Revolution, Russian Revolution, into what we're seeing right now. Now, obviously, it's not... don't get me wrong, real news audience. I'm not saying that's what we're currently living in yet. I'm just wanting to know if there's any similarities that we should be looking out for to sort of call them for what they are. You get what I'm saying, Matt?
That's what I'm getting at.
Right. All right.
This is a trap America's caught in.
All right. Let me do this then, man. Can you hang through the break? I'm not sure what your day looks like, but
sure.
All right. Yeah. Let's put Matt back on hold. We got a call on line 3, Roz. She's got a funny look on her face. I don't know what that face is about. Caller on line 3. Hang on. We'll get your screen here in just a second. Hit this break. Come back with some more real news on all this stuff. Real news. Be right back.
Facebook, I was looking for something to prove my point. I should have read this. Goodness gracious, man. This was the point I was looking for. As of 2015, dang it, man. I'll do this when I get back. This has just been so perfect right now. As of 2015, the unofficial Sharia courts provided by Muslim representatives have been operating in the UK since the 1980s. At the time of the writing of this article, which is in 2015, at the time of the writing of this article, there are 85 official courts, Muslim arbitration tribunals, that have been operating under the Arbitration Act since 1996 in the UK. So unless that information is just terribly, terribly cited, hang on a second. Where is this coming? One of them is coming from a Daily Mail article. The other one is coming from the BBC. Okay, so I don't know how you feel about Daily Mail. That's fine. Most people consider the BBC fairly accurate. Where did this go? Most consider the BBC fairly accurate. All right, so here you go. If you believe the BBC, As of 2015, in UK, there are 85 official courts, Muslim arbitration tribunals that have been operating under Arbitration Act since 1996. Now, again, arbitration is not something that's necessarily, what's the best way to put this, man? Arbitration courts in America are recognized by our own court system, okay? So if you're going through arbitration, it's like a mini, it's going to be a terrible way to describe it. Other people, legal folks, please don't knock me for this, but basically it's you do your own mini trial over here. You come to an agreement between each other. It's like a new contract form. You come to agreement with each other. There's arbitration attorneys there. There's someone that's going to write it all down for you, whatever else. Then you bring this agreement to a U.S. court system and say, we've agreed upon this. Here's the arbitration attorney. They sign on for it. The judge asks you a few questions. Are you of right mind? Did you understand what you're signing on to? All that stuff, okay? So what I read from this is that there's a similar version of American arbitration tribunals or courts or hearings that are already 85 of them apparently in the UK, right? I feel pretty safe making those statements I made before, yeah? All right, I'm gonna hit this break. Titanic, Stimpy, you're all over the place.
Because it's not just political, it's also ideological. We know that Senator Black...
Yeah, mediation is very similar to arbitration, I think. It's been a while since I've been in the whole law thing, man, but it's very, very similar. Yeah, I'll leave y'all with this Ted Cruz stuff. Asking the Twitter folks if Mother Teresa is pushing hate speech. I would love to go back in Mother Teresa's time and ask her, does she think she's pushing hate speech? I wonder what she would say. She might actually say yes. Honestly. She might actually say yes. She'd probably say, probably. But a lot of people consider the truth hate speech, don't they? Huh. I don't know. Here's Ted Cruz.
Burns' post was pulled down. Let me ask a comparable question, because it's not just political, it's also ideological. There have been multiple instances of, in particular, pro-life groups being disfavored. For example, here is a tweet that says, abortion is profoundly anti-women, and it's a quote from Mother Teresa. And this tweet was blocked. Now it is fairly remarkable that Mother Teresa is now deemed hate speech. Do either of you agree with the proposition that Mother Teresa is issuing hate speech? Is this hate speech?
If I could take a step back from that, I believe that that account is from the Susan B. Anthony list, right. And Susan B. Anthony is currently an advertiser in good standing on our platform. Last promoted.
Mr. Manji, you're very good at not answering questions. Is this hate speech?
Every tweet has context behind it, and every decision that's made has
the full tweet. There's no more context.
I can tell you that we have actioned accounts on both sides of this debate, including tweets by pro-choice groups who have said that everybody who's pro-life is misogynistic. There are many pro-life groups that advertise on our platforms currently in good standing, and advertisers across the board, whether they're selling soap or NFL, sometimes have advertisements that are caught in our systems. And the reason why,
and that is an area we'll be following up as well. So I appreciate your saying there are groups on the pro-choice side that you have blocked, and this committee is going to attempt to understand and quantify if there is a disparate treatment or not. If there's not a disparate treatment, that'll benefit Twitter to show that you're being even-handed. The anecdotes we're aware of are consistently on one side of the aisle.
Congressman Eric Swallowsville from the San Francisco Bay Area was given an opportunity to apologize for the last 2 years of his conspiracy theories, accusing President Trump of being a secret Russian agent. And here's how that went.
And you said even in January on MSNBC when you were asked by Chris Matthews if the president is an agent of Russia, you said yes. Do you regret saying that, or do you believe that President Trump still is an agent of Russia? What do you mean by that?
He acts on their behalf. He puts their interests too often ahead of our own interests. And that, again, that affects opportunity at home. If we become more like Russia, where it's a top floor economy and only the fat cats are able to benefit and all of us just toil away and get
Do you
crumbs.
think he's taking orders from Vladimir Putin? When you say agent, what do you mean by that?
Well, if he wasn't taking orders, he wouldn't take the interpreter's notes. If he wasn't taking orders, he would release the report that he said he's 100% exonerated with. And so why does he act so suspiciously with Russia in ways that he doesn't act with Theresa May or Macron or Trudeau? It just, all of my experience as a prosecutor tells me something is wrong with the way that he's acting, the way that he's lying, and that we should all be concerned. So are you?
No, sir, there's something wrong with you. Look at what this darn Russian puppet's doing to our country. The number of Americans filing for unemployment has dropped to a 49.5-year low. Jobless claims fall to the lowest since October of 1969. Let's not forget that the liberal media predicted if Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in 2016, that the stock market and the entire American economy would collapse. But Hillary Clinton was given a gold rating the day after the election.
Any of y'all like Mark Dice? I don't know. I like Mark Dice. It just always sounds like he's like just on the verge of running out of breath. Doesn't he? He's just about to pass out every 2 seconds. I'm Mark Dice, and I can't get this sentence out without... It's a decent Mark Dice, right? I will say some of his old school Man in the Street stuff's some of my favorite ever. He has this one where Hillary Clinton apparently is putting forward a new proposal to repeal the entirety of the Bill of Rights, and it's backed by Beyonce and Katy Perry. And the people, it's San Diego, okay? So it's in San Diego Beach, too. I'm not sure what you expect from a San Diego Beach, but whatever. It's the amount of people that signed on to this because Beyonce and Katy Perry are supporting it. It's funny.
Hey, welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get this out of the way real quick. Sometime during this hour, I'm sure they're going to update me and come in here and let me know when this happens. Marshall's back there right now. He's the man with the plan. He's got all the power. At some point during this terrestrial feed, it will go off the air. We're doing some maintenance, some extending to our FM transmitter. And
he said he's supposed to get a 10-minute warning. So
10-minute warning.
We'll give everybody that warning when we get it.
Cool. Do you know what's going to happen, by the way? Is this going to be blank air as far as the FM, AM is concerned?
More than likely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll probably keep going with the Facebooks for, however long they want to see what happens there.
We need to hurry up and give away these tickets, too.
Yeah, 865. Do you have a riddle or anything?
Yes.
865-888-TALK, 865-888-8255.
So we have 2 sets of 4s.
All right.
Okay. So we'll be giving away 8 total, but in 4 packs. If that's not confusing enough for you guys. Yeah. Anyway, the riddle is, the more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I?
Oh, Alexandria Cortez. That's what it is, right? I'm serious. And the more you leave...
It's not a political riddle, but if it was, that would be the answer, yes.
It's impoverished bodies is the answer to the more you leave behind. The more you take, the more impoverished bodies you leave behind. Hey, whoever's calling on Crown Plaza, calling number line 3. Hang on just a second, I'll get you screened here. So anyways, just real quick update. They're going to give us a 10-minute warning as to when we will go off the FM airwaves. Update real quick, what was that?
Okay, so we won't be on the FM. We will still be on the AM, so we're going to continue the show.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go till 10, but we're only going to be on 760 AM.
Oh, gotcha.
At some point.
All right.
So we'll give you the 10-minute warning when Marshall gets it for the FM, and then switch over to 760 AM. We'll be on that.
Gotcha. All right, well, there you go. Hey, let me give an update here, too, before we get back to Matt's call. Billy called in before and was saying what was Billy was saying. I was looking for something to prove my point of this at least open conversation that's being had about in European systems to, introduce at least the concept of Sharia law. I'm pulling from European Court of Human Rights right now. Recent times, countries such as Germany, France, England, Denmark, and Sweden, Sharia law has been applied in a lot of areas of European society. They go on to say, the unofficial, just to prove my point, I like trying to be as I'll go to Scott here in just a second. I like trying to be as accurate as possible, but here it is. The unofficial Sharia courts provided by Muslim representatives have been operating in the UK since the 1980s. Since the 1980s. Now, at the time of this report that I'm reading right now, which is 2015, at the time of this report, there are 85 official courts called Muslim arbitration tribunals that have been operating under the Arbitration Act since 1996. At the time of this report, 2015, in the UK, there are 85 official courts entitled Muslim arbitration tribunals that have been operating under the Arbitration Act since 1996. Now, to be fair, an arbitration tribunal is not exactly the same thing the court system. That is to say, too, we have arbitration, obviously, in America, obviously. Now, I don't want to spend so much time getting through what arbitration is and how that's different from mediation and how that entire thing is different from our actual U.S. court system. But suffice it to say, it does carry the same, sometimes, weight as actual court decisions. Usually it does, okay? No, so granted, arbitration is a different thing, but it still proves the point. You get what I'm saying? 85 official courts, Muslim arbitration tribunals, 85 of them at the time of 2015 that's been operating since 1996 in the Arbitration Act since 1996. Let's go back to caller Matt. Caller Matt, hang on 2 seconds. Scott knows the answer to that trivia question. I said it was Alexander Cortez. Ross, can you hear me? No? She's talking to someone right now. Scott, what do you think the answer to that trivia question is?
Well, I think Alexander Cortez is guilty of the answer of that. The more you take, the more you leave behind would be footsteps. So she has footsteps.
All right. Ross, is that the answer, by the way? The more you take, the more you leave behind?
My bad. I'm sorry. What's going on?
He said the more you take, the more you leave behind footsteps. Yeah. Nice, buddy. Hey, by the way, Roz, she didn't hear us. He also said my answer, Alexander Cortez, is correct, too. He agrees with me.
It wasn't political.
Scott, buddy, thanks. You win the family 4-pack of Smokies tickets. Hang on the line for me. I'll let Roz get your information, all right?
Congrats, bud.
Thank you very much.
There you go, Scott. He answers footsteps. I like my answer better. My answers are always the best. By the way, we're going off. They'll give us a 10-minute warning when we're going.
The whole entire world. Nobody's better than me. Gosh.
Well, they'll give us a 10-minute warning when we're going off the FM, but that AM 760 is going to stay strong, which I would also then presume that our app's still going to be going strong as well, too. Just type in Talk Radio 92.3 Knoxville. Talk Radio 92.3 Knoxville. If you have a smartphone or any connection to the internet on your laptop computer, just go to Talk Radio 92.3. Just type that into your Google. You'll find us. You can stream us there as well. So all that's going to be going good. Let's go back to caller Matt. Now, he was talking before about the information of who funded Hitler. And the reason why we're jumping all over topics today, again, this is the Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. Best Audience in the Nation
Hashtag BANAF.
Hashtag BANAF. Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. That means literally any topic at all. It's all on the table. 865-888-TALK, 865-888-8255. Whatever you want to talk about, call in. That's why Matt's talking about this information for who funded Hitler. If you want to bring us up to speed on that one more time, you can. And then I left us off saying, are there any similarities to, say, the Russian Revolution that we need to look out for?
Yes. It's all the same. It all comes from the same people. It does. Hitler also, by the way, had control of the Muslim Brotherhood during World War II, if that tells you anything.
Wow.
Yes, he did. You can find fezzes with the swastika on it and the Muslim Brotherhood wearing them in front of Hitler. This is all out there unless they've scrubbed it. But I wanted to, back to Billy, if I can comment real quick, the reason the left protects Islam is because they're of the same cult or religion. Yeah, there's a few books on it written around the turn of the century, actually. And his name is escaping me. Bertrand Russell.
Gotcha.
Wrote a couple of books on Islam and the left. They are one and the same. It is a cult. It is a death cult. And I'm sorry, I have family members that are involved in it as well. And I know this sounds harsh and crazy, but when these people tell you and wag their finger at you, and they're basically calling you a heretic. Well, that's hate speech, and they wag their finger, and that's this. And I'm sorry, but hate speech does not override my free speech. It does not. Get out with that. That is a made-up term by the Red Army, same as misogyny, hate speech, racism. These are all Red Army terms. Hitler was no different, funded by the same people, same communists. Sorry if this hurts people's feelings, There was no real right wing in Germany. Hitler made sure of that. He was there to burn them. That was his whole job. His handler even tells us in like 1961, a guy named Meyer. But yes, it totally ties into the situation we are in now. We don't have that much time left, I don't think. They are here to, it's just like Mao's time of 1,000 blossoms. They've let any dissenters, anyone that doesn't agree with them, they've let them all come forward and have a voice on social media, and then it's all going to be shut down, and probably worse.
Now, what's frustrating for me,
and it's been their MO for hundreds of years.
What's frustrating for me also, man, is that there's so many other current examples that it seems like every single time they want to bring up, and by they I mean, I don't know, the leftists or Democrats or progressives or whoever, that there's so many other
mainstream.
Yeah, exactly, the mainstream. There's so many other alleged countries. That's a terrible phrase. What I'm saying is developed countries that they can point to. They say, look, they're outlawing hate speech. We need to be like them. We need to be like Europe. We need to be like these progressive Scandinavian countries. Now, the frustrating thing there is like, okay, fine, let's be like Europe and then let's be like Australia. When you start talking about
overrides your free speech.
Well, of course, but when you want to make that consistent across the board, when you start talking about immigration, okay, let's be like Europe or Australia as far as the immigration policy is concerned. Now they throw that out the window. Back to the topic at hand, however, you want to talk about Canada, you want to talk about European countries, you want to talk about Australia. They're all talking about, hey, we already have laws codified in the books that outlaw hate speech, and I would say right now, well, isn't that the sole difference? Isn't that the main thing of what technically defines free speech? For look,
you would think
the speech that everyone agrees with doesn't need any protecting. That's why it's speech that everyone agrees with, man.
Exactly.
The speech that needs protecting is solely the speech that you disagree with, which is quintessentially hate speech, man. Come on.
That's why they're in a religion. I was told by somebody the other day that the truth did not matter, that the hate speech and not saying those things was more important.
Hey, man.
Literally. This is by somebody that tells me they're a liberal every day.
Let me put it this way, okay? Most people, when polled, want hate speech to be criminal. Now, when you ask the follow-up question, the inevitable follow-up question, when you ask them, what is hate speech? Now you got a problem. Now you have a problem. When people poll that say they want hate speech criminalized, now when it says, well, who's going to define what hate speech is, it gets back to what I said to Billy before. If you're defining hate speech, but here's the thing, bro.
Anytime they want. But they can redefine it at any time they want.
But if you're defining hate speech in East Tennessee, now all of a sudden here you start coming here talking bad about Christ, you're getting put in jail. You're getting put in jail in Tennessee. It's all based upon who has the ability to, which is why hate speech is supposed to be protected, man. Does that not prove the point to leftists?
It's free speech. I'm sorry, it is.
Right.
They want to call it hate because they hate to hear the truth.
Right.
Because they can't stand it. They don't like people going against them in any way, shape, or form. And believe me, as soon as you do, you're a heretic and you're out of their cult.
And let's be fair here, man.
That's the way this works.
That doesn't mean that you have the absolute right to be free from repercussions. No, not at all.
I didn't say that.
No, of course. And I know that's not what you're saying. If you want to walk up to someone and call them the worst name in the book you could possibly think of, fill in the blank of whoever you're talking that to. That doesn't mean you're free from repercussions. Punched in the face.
Right.
Very well
I get it.
If you want to have free speech to deny service to, I don't know, you don't want to make a cake for a homosexual couple, okay, that's within your rights, but your business may get shut down, you may be economically ostracized.
What's the left going to do when they realize that if they can't, they'll go to jail for criticizing Trump here soon?
Right.
When are Trump, by the way, is a Zionist, and now we have these we can't talk about it. I probably shouldn't even have said it, but here we are. He is. Jared Kushner is. What happens when they go to complain about him? They haven't thought this through very far. Mike Pence also. This isn't good for anyone in America.
No, not at all, man.
No, and the left hasn't figured this out. They think they're going to control our speech, and all they're going to do is shut down their own, and anyone that has any complaint against any of these people that are doing this stuff and killing us will be illegal. It already is.
And you want to know one of my favorite stories that came out yesterday? This is coming from MSN.com. One of my absolute favorite stories that came out yesterday that has at least somewhat to do with what we're talking about. People love to talk about free speech. People love, honestly, saying particular things until you actually ask them to be held accountable for it. The headline coming out, White House proposed releasing immigrant detainees in sanctuary cities. Dude, I'm telling you, apparently the White House proposed an idea, but we don't have any more room to store them, so let's just go ship them all off to San Francisco. And dude, and when you asked Nancy Pelosi her opinion on what she thought about that thing, she was saying, just the suggestion itself. She said the extent of this administration's cynicism and cruelty cannot be overstated. Using human beings.
She can't complain.
I know, dude. She says using human beings, including little children as pawn in their warped game, perpetuate fear and demonize immigrants. Nancy Pelosi, you just told me that using immigrants is going to perpetuate fear. Now you're saying we should be afraid of immigrants, Nancy Pelosi?
All she does is tell them to be scared and in fear so she can get her money.
It's just, dude.
That's all she does.
And the game is getting too easy to play now, man. This is why I said before, I think this entire philosophy was pitched by someone on the right just to make a mockery of it 50 years later. It's just too easy to play that game. Well, okay, Nancy Pelosi, you want to push for sanctuary cities? Let's really put that metal to the test. Let's do it. Let's put it to the test and see how you feel.
10,000 a week, Nancy.
Right.
By the way, they're letting in 10,000 families a week. Do the math.
No, I know. And then what Nancy Pelosi is really saying is she's
45 children at a time.
And she's saying, I want Arizona to deal with it. I want New Mexico to deal with it. I want Texas to deal with it. I want San Diego to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. My constituent, I don't want to deal with that. Anyways, man.
There are things coming across our border that if people knew about it, they would lose their mind. There are things coming across our borders that are the sum of all fears. Put it that way. I'll leave it at that.
Caller Matt, great call, buddy. Love talking to you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Hey, let's hit this break. 9:21. BANAF. Best audience in the nation. Appreciation Friday. We'll hit this break. Come back with Stimpy on that topic. Be right back.
When you said BANAF, it reminded me of FNAF. You know about that?
FNAF?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what FNAF is.
It's called Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a video game.
Oh, I know Five Nights at Freddy's. What a weird, for a game to go viral. That's a very strange game to go viral.
Yeah. And the guy claims to be a Christian, and these are demons possessing animatronics. And
yeah, I mean, obviously it went viral because all those people that are playing the game, the PewDiePies and the Markipliers and Jacksepticeye and all them, their reactions made it so much fun to watch other people play the game. But
yeah. There's books about it. And got my daughter to like reading.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
BANAF? Hashtag BANAF. I like that. We're going to keep it.
Well, she's going to have, instead of Michaela, Gateway Girl, she's going to call him.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I got to do the gym of the week then at some point.
Yeah, I think, you got some time for it. But.
Hey, Facebook, any of y'all follow or watch PewDiePie?
I found him offensive.
Did you?
My son subscribed to his channel on my page, and I deleted it.
Well, Shine and I are about to drop, I will say, I'm going to go on a limb here and say probably one of the best pieces of commentary I think we've ever done together. We're going to make it a podcast. I'm not sure what we're going to call it. Something like Precious Moments, Real News Precious Moments or something. But it specifically deals with PewDiePie and what he's doing right now and what it means to society at large. I'm not sure when we're going to be dropping that, but I think it's the best thing we've ever done, best commentary we've ever put together for sure. It's a New Age David and Goliath story, man. There's hope.
Well, when you mentioned that about Mother Teresa, it had me thinking, I see that a lot of times liberals use Mother Teresa to promote socialism. Because, she gave herself so much, and she's like, and then the liberals will say, everybody needs to be like Mother Teresa.
Yeah, dude,
mandate it.
Democrats are setting themselves up for just like a cocktail mixture of failure, bro. Like they're advocating immigration right now from countries that are overwhelmingly Catholic, which does not agree with their moral stance on anything. They're still sticking to this idea of Islamophobia, which is pushing against everything they've made great, strides for decades, bro. I mean, the type of stuff that they're taking onto their worldview right now is completely antithetical to everything they've been pushing for a very long time. I don't know when it's going to collapse on them, but it's just like...
Did you see the imam that gave a rundown on how to properly beat his wife?
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It's all in Arabic, but somebody translates it. Apparently Rachel doesn't know how to spell Assange.
Phonetically it works.
I know. Phonetically.
Rod's going crazy back there.
I feel like I'm in a fishbowl with this camera.
I think it does have a fisheye lens on it, right?
Well, probably, yeah. It's got a very, you can see things at a very hard angle. Sharp angle.
Do you want to do the gym of the week thing before we get to Stimpy?
I do.
Okay. Like right now.
Yeah.
Is there an audio clip for that, or should I just come in with it?
I have an intro.
Okay.
So I'm gonna come in with just our rejoin. I'll play a song, and then you come on, and then we'll do the intro.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Go to grads of.
Yep.
Power Ranger friend as they attempted to win her name back. Rescue Raws 2 in theaters near you.
Are we recording? Can I go on this? We're not recording. Hey, welcome back to Real News. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another Friday segment here for you on top of BANAF, Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. Let me do this one segment here. This segment now entitled, entitled Gem of the Week.
The Real News Gem of the Week.
Presented by Fountain City Jewelers.
4914 Broadway in Knoxville. FountainCityJewelers.com.
Hey, your Gem of the Week this week, Miss Roz, is computer good here? The Gem of the Week this week is Senator Ted Cruz. Listen to this. He's asking Twitter about this tweet from Mother Teresa, quoting Mother Teresa. Here's the tweet. Abortion is profoundly anti-woman. 3/4 of its victims are women, half the babies, and all the mothers.
Senator Blackburn's post was pulled down. Let me ask a comparable question, because it's not just political, it's also ideological. There have been multiple instances of, in particular, pro-life groups being disfavored. For example, here is a tweet that says, abortion is profoundly anti-women, and it's a quote from Mother Teresa. And this tweet was blocked. Now it is fairly remarkable that Mother Teresa is now deemed hate speech. Do either of you agree with the proposition that Mother Teresa is issuing hate speech?
Wait for it. 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 Wait for it.
Is this hate speech?
If I could take a step back from that, I believe that that account is from the Susan B. Anthony list.
Correct.
And Susan B. Anthony is currently an advertiser in good standing on our platform. Last promoted tweet.
Mind you, you're very good at not answering questions. Is this hate speech?
Every tweet has context behind it, and every decision that's made has
the full
context.
tweet. There's no more context.
And I'll say every question has context behind it as well, which is why Senator Ted Cruz is asking the questions he's asking. That's why he is the gem of the week this week. You want to know what he's really asking? Why Twitter's having such a difficult time responding? Why? This is why I'm also saying, too, why might it be a good thing that Facebook and Twitter continue to push for censoring conservative viewpoints? What did you say, Mr. Henry? Why might it be a good thing? Let me explain it to you this way, getting a little bit legal here on y'all. A platform is a company or technology that enables communication and distribution of information. A good example of a platform would be a phone company. When talking to a friend, certain words or ideas you communicate don't get censored or buzzed out. A platform is not legally responsible for the content that is posted because it's a platform. A neutral arbiter, if you will. A publisher, on the other hand, is a company or person that curates and distributes content. You could think of all news and media outlets out there as basically prime examples of what a publisher is. A publisher is legally responsible for the posted content and the source. Now, what am I talking about with this question from Senator Ted Cruz to the senior execs at Twitter? Is Mother Teresa considered hate speech? Facebook and Twitter have been promoting itself as a social media platform for the past 2 years. Give me about a minute or two here, Roz, if you can. They've been shifting away from that decision to ban certain types of content, written or visual. Now, let's go to what Mark Zuckerberg said a couple months back. It made some worry, and definitely all of his lawyers as well. When asked if Facebook is responsible for the content that is posted, Mark Zuckerberg said that the company is, quote, responsible for the content on its platforms. This comes in correlation with repeatedly closing pages and groups that support certain political ideologies. Number one, this makes Facebook responsible, like any other publication, for example, the New York Times, for any non-licensed photographs that it publishes or information that could be considered slanderous or defamatory of any nature. They are, as well as the person who made the content, suable. They are going to destroy their own platforms because they are operating as publishers, not platforms, in a legal context. You get what I'm saying? This is why Ted Cruz is the gem of the week. He's putting this all on display. Number two, when talking about what is considered hate speech or not appropriate content, they ban, Zuckerberg said, they don't have a clear definition at the moment. Facebook, as a company, has to make an important decision. Do they want to move forward as a platform, a tech company, or do they want to be the world's largest publisher? So here's, I guess, what I'm talking about. Google, Facebook, to keep it all together. What I think we should do is just let them fall victim to Section 230. Let them fall victim to Section 230. Section 230, the Communications Decency Act, immunizes online platforms only for their users and their users' defamatory, fraudulent, or otherwise unlawful content. Congress granted this extraordinary benefit to facilitate, quote, forums for a true diversity of political discourse. This exemption from standard liable law is extremely valuable to the companies that enjoy its protection, such as Google, Facebook, and Twitter. But they only got it because it was assumed that they would operate as an impartial, open channel of communication, not curators of applicable law or not curators of acceptable opinion. You get what I'm saying? You get why Senator Ted Cruz is the gem of the week? Because he's not just asking Twitter, is Mother Teresa hate speech? That's not the bigger question. The bigger question is, how do you, social media companies, define yourselves legally? How do you define your existence legally? Do you want us to hold you liable for everything that's printed on your site? Then stop shutting down conservatives. 9:33, be right back. She looked at
Vic. Stimpy's been hanging on a while.
What?
I don't know. I'm gonna go to next.
Who's Vic?
I don't know. I think he's new. That sucked, dude. I spent like an hour and a half on that prep from that one story yesterday. It was like 4 minutes.
Oh, Mother Teresa.
Yeah, on that whole thing, man. I had to look up.
Well, you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, but I had like the statutes I wanted to get through and the bigger points I was making and pulling back into historical context from cases from 95. Hey, what's up?
Excuse me. Okay, we have to do the Michaela part, so they're gonna call in. I told them give us 2-3 minutes at max.
Who? Gateway? Okay.
Because that's all we can do with it. I have to play the intro.
Yeah. Oh, right, because the sponsor. When is that? Same Michaela time?
I told them call in at 9:45. That's if the lines aren't like this.
Yeah, what are they? They're just going to be talking about the gateway stuff, I guess, not what to do. I'm going to force them on the spot and say, tell us right now what to do.
Yeah, but he said something about white and blue. We talk about that, or what is it? Orange and white?
Orange and white game is tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Talk about that. Whatever. Okay, yeah. And then we have the gateway guys.
I'll pull that in. Yeah, they'll do your tailgate. Yeah. Okay. Is Vic new?
Vic called a couple weeks ago about he told his story. He was very vulnerable about how his the live-in boyfriend or whatever and his son was getting abused, and they went to court. They did all that. So I guess a football player, Sierra Wood or whoever, killed. He was living with a single mom, his girlfriend, and killed her 5-year-old.
Jeez. What do you think we should do? Stimpy's been hitting for like 40 minutes. You want to go to Vic first and then Stimpy, or Stimpy, or?
Go to Vic first.
Okay, and then Stimpy and then Linus.
Stimpy's is,
Yeah, no, I know.
It's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Linus just wants to ask you, cut him off after he's done. He wants to ask about what you think about the Assange thing. Cut him off ASAP.
Okay.
Because, and then we can go to whatever. He's going to have to wait. Go to Vic, go to Stimpy, and then go to Linus.
I guess it's a good problem to have at this point, right?
It is, but cut Linus off, please. You let him go on too long.
Yeah.
All the time. And it's like not necessary. He's literally repeating himself all the time. It's so annoying.
I hear you.
Thank you.
I want you to think about this.
I didn't know she listened to the show.
Who?
Rachel.
Yeah. As Cruz, just Facebook so you can get some of my prep yesterday. As Cruz properly understands, Section 230 encourages internet platforms to moderate, quote, offensive speech, but the law was not intended to facilitate political censorship. Online platforms should receive immunity only if they maintain viewpoint neutrality, consistent with traditional legal norms for distributors of information.
I was thinking about this yesterday. It's becoming like people don't want to talk on telephones anymore.
Right.
And Messenger, Facebook Messenger is like one of the main ways to communicate now.
That's true.
It's very...
Because that stupid bubble that pops up, man. So like anytime you send a message, you're like, well, I know you have to see it. Which is true.
And then it gives that check mark that...
Except for me, I shut that bubble off on my phone a long time back. I have to actually go into my Facebook app to see all y'all messaging me, which I know sucks. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get better at that if you're messaging me. But just hate Facebook, man. Anyways, before the internet common law held that newsstands, bookstores, and libraries had no duty to ensure that each book and newspaper they distributed was not defamatory. Makes sense. Courts initially extended this principle to online platforms. Then, in 1995, a federal judge found a website called Prodigy, which is an early online service, found Prodigy liable for content on its message boards because the company had advertised that it removed obscene posts. The court reasoned that, quote, utilizing technology and the manpower to delete objectionable content made Prodigy more like a publisher than a library. I'll read that one more time. In 95, the court reasoned that utilizing technology and the manpower to delete objectionable content made Prodigy more like a publisher than a library. That was a single post from a single message board. Now you extrapolate that into the hundreds of millions of times that Facebook has done that. You basically have the same thing. That's why Congress wrote Section 230 to protect internet companies. But what Ted Cruz is saying is, bro, if y'all aren't operating like you're under that realm, we're going to shut you down.
That was basically the first year of the internet. Nobody used the internet.
And here's the beautiful thing about that, too, man. What I didn't get to on air, the beautiful thing about that whole situation is this would not be federal regulatory oversight. That's what's so great about it. It wouldn't have to. That's what I'm so conflicted by is I don't want the government getting involved in private industry. But if the private industry is violating current law,
well, and then you've got Facebook who's taking government money to build their platform.
Right.
Same with Google.
In the mid to upper 50s, and tomorrow a few scattered showers, definitely drier than wetter on Saturday, highs reaching the upper 70s, scattered showers and storms more likely on Sunday, the cooler and drier air Monday and Tuesday. Vote America's #1 aquarium, Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. You can vote daily at ripleysAquariumofthesmokies.com. From the 6 Storm Team, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Hinkin for the East Tennessee Weather Network.
It's 68 at Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Don't click on it if you're not prone to appreciating violence from...
What a weird thing to say.
Nah. No? Nine.
Hey, 9:40 Good morning. Welcome back to Real News. I'm so happy that this BANAF has went off as well as it has. Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. Call and talk to me about whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to go to Vic right now on the line to talk about that. Give me 15 seconds to make this point, though. The reason why I brought up that Ted Cruz stuff, though, is such a beautiful solution to my problem with the Facebook, Twitter stuff right now, shutting down conservative accounts. My real problem with that, my cognitive dissonance has been going on. I don't like the idea at a gut level. My libertarian soul says I don't like the idea of the government getting involved and telling a private corporation what they can and cannot do. Even if you want to try and label them as a monopoly and there's a necessity for federal regulatory oversight, I still don't like it. Here's the beautiful thing about citing Section 230, though. That is not federal regulatory oversight. If Facebook and Twitter are not abiding by Section 230, that's just violating the law. That's just violating how they're stated as a parameter. Think about it this way. Courts initially extended the principle to not be held liable to online platforms. They did the same thing with bookstores and newsstands and libraries back in the day. They initially extended that principle to online platforms to not be liable for what was posted there. Then, in 1995, a federal judge found Prodigy, which was an early online service, liable for content on its message boards because the company had advertised that it removed obscene posts. The court reasoned that, quote, utilizing technology and the manpower to delete objectionable content made Prodigy more like a publisher than a library. In 95, they found them as a publisher, not a platform, for a single post that was removed from a single message board. Now, you take that and extrapolate that to the hundreds of millions, if not billions of times that Facebook and Twitter have done that exact same thing to conservative users. Now you have a very clear violation of Section 230. Section 230 was created specifically so that online platforms would no longer have that problem. If Facebook and Twitter are violating it on their own accord, it's fine. You don't have to have a new committee to shut them down. Just cite Section 230, hold them accountable, either make them a publisher and they can shut down as many conservative sites as they want to, or if you're going to call yourself a platform, you got some problems, buddy. Let's go to Vic. It is BANAF, Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday. Vic, thanks for hanging on here. What's on your mind, sir? Hey, Vic, you there, buddy? Oh, no. Oh, I lost Vic. That's sad. All right. Well, Vic, if you want to call back, buddy, Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday, 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255, because I appreciate y'all so much. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Let's go to Linus here real quick. Linus, I'm going to try and get you and Stimpy on here in the next couple of minutes here, so probably about a minute or two for you here. But subheading just says Assange. Very interesting. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, first off, I would like to give you another jewel for the week, and that's this one real quick. Robert Frost said, good fences make good neighbors, and he was the darling of liberal English teachers for 50 years. How come that don't apply anymore?
I hear you.
And what I was going to say about Julian Assange is this. Why do you suppose the deep state wants this guy back so bad?
He's a key witness.
They actually commuted Chelsea Manning's sentence. So where's the crime here then?
Right.
It's really very simple. They want to know what else he knows he ain't released.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it, Jack. They want to get him, they want to squeeze him, they want to find out what he didn't release, because they're scared silly about what this man might actually know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it comes right from the Clinton Foundation. These people are so corrupt it's not funny. They've got money from the Clintons in their pockets. They're afraid he might have a link to that. It might come out right before an election.
Oh, I don't even know if afraid is it. I'm pretty sure that they do know he has it. You know what I'm saying?
They're afraid of Bob Barr.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's scaring the heck out of them. They've already got 8 of them slated for the axe, it looks like, and more on the way.
Yeah, well, they're afraid of the foreshadowing that Barr brought up the last couple of times, in the Senate hearings and the congressional hearings. They're supposed to be talking about a budget proposal, and all of a sudden they start asking Barr about the Mueller report, and he comes off something with, oh, yeah, by the way, a multitude of our intelligence community has been spying on the Trump administration, the Trump campaign as well. That's not a new thing to you, but, it's foreshadowing. Do you have evidence of that?
He used the word spy, and that made him really flip out, because that's what it is.
Yes, sir.
I heard a guy on TV earlier this morning say it's nice to have an adult in the room. He's calling stuff what it is.
That's the truth. Hey, Linus, I'll tell you what, buddy, I got to get to Stimpy here. I'm going to make a few comments off when I get back to on air here for you, but I appreciate hearing from you, Linus.
Sure, bye-bye.
Hey, if you want to know too with the Assange stuff, I didn't have time to get that today. Now, whether you take Q for truth or not doesn't necessarily matter. The Q take on this right now, the QAnon, I do not have time to go into what Q is. This is just the other side of what they're saying, the conspiratorial side of the whole Julian Assange. All right, so he's pulled out of this building. The surveillance video is shut down. We don't have any actual, the video footage has been blocked out or something to that effect. He's looking completely disheveled. Allegedly, there was a fight going on back doors. He has a Gore Vidal book in his hand.
Yep.
He's making some very strange comments to Trump or about Trump supporters that they're just clowns or something to that effect. He makes a very cryptic message to Trump. Now, this goes back to what Linus was saying before, okay? You got to think when Devin Nunes comes out and says we have somewhere about 8 different criminal indictments that we're about to hand down, directly relating to the Clinton campaign, directly relating to the Russiagate spy controversy, directly relating to how they used Ukraine in the same way that they said Donald Trump used Russia, directly relating to the fabrication to set up and pull the wool over the FISA court eyes. All this stuff, you need some type of citable witness, some type of citable, credible evidence to prove that, okay? The Q story is now that the key witness in that story is Julian Assange, which would make sense because he might have all the information through the WikiLeaks dumps. So the Q story is, what do? You somehow get the Ecuadorian president on your side to remove his status to be able to stay in that embassy. You go by the way of, I don't know, you pull him out of this embassy or whatever, and now all of a sudden Q says, so they say, we now have the key witness that we need. We have him in our control. We have him in our midst. He's about to be extradited to America. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know. Patrick. Oh, no, you're the next. Yeah. Let's do this. Stimpy, buddy, you've been hanging on for the longest here for you. Roz, this is what I think I might do. I might do Stimpy 2-3 minutes now, bring him into the next break, finish that a little bit, then give Patrick the last 3-4 minutes for Michaela in Knoxville. Makes sense? Yeah, we're doing some live on-air programming. Was that?
I can't do that.
You can't? I don't know what that means. I think
we need to do it now.
The gateway?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
It's time for Michaela Around Knoxville. Brought to you by Gateway Delivery at 865-964-3843. Online at mygatewaydelivery.com or mygatewaygrocery.com.
Hey, there you go. Patrick from mygatewaygrocery.com, mygatewaydelivery.com. This is a segment sponsored by using Michaela Around Knoxville. Patrick, what's up, buddy? How you doing today?
Good, brother. How you doing this morning, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Hey, we got this talking about stuff going on around the weekend. Yeah, we are talking about stuff going on around the weekend. We have this orange and white game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Who you going for?
I have no idea, man. You know me. I'm a Gators fan, anyways, man.
It's a trick question.
Pray for Mr. Henry.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, but you guys going to be out there? Your company's going to be doing some tailgating stuff, I guess, right? Not tailgating, but at least providing for the tailgating.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything anybody needs, from groceries, restaurant food. You might need some napkins, some utensils. Anything you can think of, give Gateway Delivery a call and we can take care of you.
Yeah, or a call, and I would say, too, man, like all these people have these smartphones now. If you're out there and you forgot something, man, I don't know if it's ice or the paper plates or whatever you might have forgotten. If you're out there, the last thing you want to do is get your car back on one of these congested streets and go try and figure this out for yourself. Just pull up your smartphone, man. What is it, mygatewaygrocery.com or mygatewaydelivery.com? Is that right, buddy?
mygatewaygrocery.com and mygatewayrestaurant.com.
Restaurant.
Delivery is free. Try us out today.
Awesome, buddy. Hit both those two websites. Or hey, give them the phone number they can call real quick too, as well.
Okay, we have mygatewaygrocery.com, mygatewayrestaurant.com, or call us at 865-964-3843.
That's right, man. That's what I'm talking about. These two guys here, some of the best guys that I know. I think they would say the same about me. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Legendary.
That sounded forced.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit, man. A little bit. Patrick, I need a bit more enthusiasm than answer next time. Oh, man. Good people, buddy. Patrick, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, there goes Patrick. Got to hit this break coming up. Were you going to say something, Richard? No? Yeah, I'm all over the place here, man. We got some good stuff going on. We got to hit this last break of the show. You want to go to 3 right now? All right, let's go to Roz is on her game today. She's doing some quick on-air programming. Elaine's on line 3. Quick question about Venezuela. Interesting. What's on your mind?
Well, hey, my husband's been really worried about this, and I know that y'all got the smartest audience around, so maybe they can answer this question for me, but it really hasn't been kind of talked about or addressed with regard to Venezuela. He's really concerned about what's going to happen with all the Miss Universe beauty pageant contestants that, he doesn't know.
They will be
what
eaten.
Venezuela's going to do.
They will be eaten.
Oh my goodness.
Livers chopped up.
When you were first setting this whole thing up for me, I was like, oh, is she gonna go with the China connection or Russia taking over? No, it's in Miss Universe. That's right. That's the biggest thing we have to miss out.
They probably have bunkers for them anyway.
I love this show. I love you guys. Y'all do an awesome job. So glad to hear somebody talking about real things that affect us every day in our real community.
But yeah, really, that's what Venezuela is getting ready to experience cannibalism if nothing changes.
Oh, God.
They're already digging up dead people, finding gold on their teeth.
Tell your husband not to worry. I'm sure we'll just get a Colombian winner next time around. I'm not sure what happened. We'll figure it out.
Argentina.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Yolanda, thank you so much for the call.
Have a great weekend.
All right, there she goes. That was awesome. It's very rare that I'm able to be trolled, but she did it perfectly right there. I walked straight forward into that one. We had Stimpy on the line. Stimpy, if you can still hear me, if you're still listening to me, he was going to call and talk about a connection between Titanic and a few other things we've been talking about the last couple of days. And Stimpy again has this incredible, uncanny ability to just connect these dots that I even very rarely see, and it was going to take probably more time than I was going to be able to give to him. So if we have to, we'll pick that entire narrative back up on Monday. It sounds intriguing enough to me already. What in the world does the Titanic have to do with connections we were talking about all today? But 9:51, hit this break. Be right back.
Yeah, I was gonna say something to Patrick just to kind of give him some more time, but I didn't know my mic was on there. It wasn't on before Patrick came on. But
Oh, man. It's getting freaking crazy today.
I'm gonna send Michaela a text, tell her she's fired.
Yeah, good.
Oh, there's a fan. Look at this.
What's the haps, Paps?
So I posted this, Babylon D. I think she believed it.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm going to read that.
Man in critical condition after hearing slightly different.
That's silly. That's a funny. Hoo-hoo. I got blue in my blood. What?
Dad. In my blood, and I don't win. Who am I? I got a doo-doo in my blood. What? And I don't know what to do with the doo-doo in my blood. But I know that a father should say to you that he's proud of you. Every daughter is a doo-doo from a father's blood.
You playing that for the real news audience?
Yeah, man. That's Rick and Morty, man. I advise everyone to go watch Rick and Morty. Not because it's just entertaining, but it's also
So was Adam Sandler and Chris Farley fired from SNL?
I don't think so. Chris Farley died, I think, before he left, but
that's what I was thinking.
I think, and then I'm pretty sure it's right. Adam Sandler, I think he just left because he was getting too big for it.
Yeah. Supposedly Adam Sandler's going to host Saturday Night Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which will be strange because he's a bit of a Trump supporter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's a conservative, at least. I don't know.
What?
I don't know who he votes for or whatever, but I know that he's made some conservative comments over the years.
The people in Hollywood, though, say that, like, Adam Sandler is, like, Hollywood royalty, man. I don't know how he got that way, but apparently he's like seriously one of these.
He's multi-talented, kind of like you, Grant.
Well, no, he's like a multi-hyphenate now, man. Just writer, director, all this stuff, right?
The song Lynch Lady.
Yeah.
Maybe they're jealous of the beard or something. I'm gonna keep growing it long. Then one day, I'm gonna train my beard to fight against you. Fight for justice. I'm the hero this town needs, not the one it deserves. Mr. Henry's beard, a mind of its own.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Hey,
Mr. Richard Esparza just sent me this headline right here. This is pretty tragic. This just broke. This happened at the Starbucks right over there by Turkey Creek area. Shortly before 12:30 p.m., PD officers responded to a 911 call at this Starbucks, like I just mentioned. They found a person who collapsed in shock and went to the station for help. Witnesses say that the man was having a casual conversation about politics with another patron when a minutely different viewpoint was expressed. The man was rushed to the hospital after encountering this slightly different viewpoint. He went into a convulsive shock, said they both were Democrat Bernie supporters. The guy said he was talking to said he had some issues with abortion and thinks that there should be at least a few limitations put on the practice. That's when the man seized up and began foaming at the mouth. Tiny man, serious. Look at her. This is from Babylon Bee right now. By the way, the headline is Man in Critical Condition After Hearing Slightly Different Viewpoint. I think
You guys are buttheads.
Yeah, we are. I know.
You need to see the movie World of Worlds. That's the biggest troll ever.
Hey, come on! A lady just called and trolled me. I had to give it back to her a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let me be for real with the real news audience though on the way out. I seriously, in all sincerity, did just happen to stumble upon this Best Audience in the Nation Appreciation Friday, the BANAF. But I can't express to y'all how much it's been a cool thing, right, Roz? It's been really, really awesome.
I like it. I like to hear what they're all passionate about too.
Well, not just that either, but it's also, I mean, we've got 3 open lines here. We had to talk to somebody else just about this BANAF thing.
Oh, I've been crazy busy all morning.
She's been phone call after phone call after phone call. I don't know if y'all been calling in and hitting busy lines or whatever, but
I had a lot of people call in that won't get on as well, and I appreciate every single one of you. I'm sorry if I was short. Sorry if I was rude. But it was a crazy morning,
But that's how you were brought up.
Yeah, exactly. No, but we're blessed, man. We're blessed. We really are.
Well, and I since the beginning of this program that I developed with my buddy David Shine Thompson, I've had a very strong vetting process of who I would allow to be part of this community and who I would let in, because I do, man. I say this on air. This is not me trying to pontificate, man. This is not me just speaking in platitudes. I truly do believe that there's a calling placed on all of our lives here, the entire community, to make this community better, the entire Real News audience to make this community better, man. And the fact that y'all give me the opportunity to listen, to spew my dogma all this microphone all day long, I'm telling you, you don't know what it means, not just for me. It's bigger than me. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with Richard or Roz. It has to do with that emblem that is Real News, right? That emblem of truth that you can put in front of you, a veneer that you can wear every single day and know that you are fighting for something better and bigger than yourselves. Whatever happens to the Real News audience, that ideal will continue to live on individually through all of us and collectively in something that's stronger than any of us could ever try and put together by ourselves. That's what's so insanely cool about hearing from y'all, blocking up these phone lines, because you believe it too. You believe it too, which makes my efforts worthwhile.
We love you guys.
So thank you. We love you is the point that I'm trying to make. 9:58, Glenn Beck's coming after this. We'll be back on Monday doing it big.
All right.
You ever seen a play of World of the Worlds?
Yeah.
On just regular TV?
Actually, man, at certain points in history, I wish I could go back to. I would like to go back to
that day.
Listening to somebody in a radio broadcast that just flipped out. Honestly, what would you say?
I saw it on TV, and I thought it was happening.
Well, bro, like, what would you think
it
right
came
now?
out one late at night, and it was in black and white, but still, it just kind of got to me.
But think about like the modern day equivalent with these deep fake videos they have. Let's say 10, 15 years from now, someone decides to get squirrely and CNN develops a deep fake of like, I don't know, an attack in San Francisco Bay or something. Like, did I lose my mind too? Come on.
Fibromyalgia. Do you have fibromyalgia? Here, you got to do that 4 times, buddy. Just the highlighted.
What about the fibromyalgia?
He just says it weird on the commercial.
Oh.
What if you have fibromyalgia.
What do I need to do here?
You have to say the highlighted thing 4 times in different tones.
You grew up in the Thug life. You ever have anybody that got their tooth knocked out?
Tooth knocked out?
9-inning vacation or 9th-inning vacation?
Huh?
Say it again.
Book your 9-inning vacation?
Yeah, 9-inning vacation, meaning the whole game. That's a vacation. 9 innings of a vacation.
Oh. Well, so that makes sense to you?
Yeah, that's what they've always. That's their.
It doesn't make sense to me. I just need you to say it 4 times.
That's their
tones.
tagline.
No problem.
9-inning vacation.
Oh, so it's 9 innings of a vacation. I thought it was a vacation that happens to take place in the 9th inning.
Yeah, no. We're not. It's not the 7th.
I don't get it at all.
You go on a cruise.
I just got to record it and give it to Mark. That's all I get.
Yeah, 9-inning vacation. That's right.
Facebook, I'm pausing it there. I'll be working my little Grant booty off over the weekend to get the SoundCloud up and going. Cutting up a bunch of stuff for the YouTube. I'm going to try and cut up all these interviews as well to throw up there on our iTunes. I'm going to try and do iTunes and Stitcher this weekend. That's my goal. I think if I can do that, we can get some good stuff going. Either way, y'all know that I'm being honest when I tell you this, man. I do this just for y'all. I certainly don't do it for... Well, that's a different conversation, but yeah, I love y'all, for real. You make this worth doing. We're changing, man. We're changing. Y'all the best. I love you. I'm going to end it there. I don't know. I might shoot some stuff from the old homestead over the weekend. Just give you some other updates over the news.
Old homestead.
Yeah. You got anything else to say to him, Richard?
No. That's it.
Let's see if I can pause this on the image that I want to use for the YouTube.
Make sure you're drinking your raw milk.
Let's see if YouTube will grab that shot. That'll be the screenshot for the YouTube video.
I'm not gonna be in that. That's no.
Yeah, you do it too. Richard does it too. If I'm scrolling across news channels, but skip, not that one.
Not at the Roxbury.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man. All right, y'all the best. Love you for real. Peace.